Hey, all right. We got DS. We got Ben. Ben, how you doing? Um, can you hear me, Ben?
Sorry about that.
Can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Do 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 chat window. Do 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 do. Dude, I can't watch these videos. It's like I'm trying to stay away from IRC. If I
Yeah,
didn't
I hear you.
if it wasn't in me like IRC tabbing to IRC is pretty much just like hitting assist 2, whereas like if I'm not thinking about not doing it, I'll just do it. So
Oh yeah.
so I'm just like so mad about every fucking little thing that comes out and somebody has it. That last combo video, did you see that shit?
No, I didn't. I'm avoiding it.
Don't
I
watch
can't.
that shit.
I
Don't.
can't take it.
Oh my god. Don't watch that shit. Holy
Everything.
shit.
Yeah, everything that comes out, it upsets me because I'm like, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. I kind of want to see this, and there's no way for me to constructively express this, so I do something unconstructive like rip my hair out or
Dude,
yeah.
that last one was like, if you look at it, that's the first combo video that you were just sitting there watching it and you were like, oh damn, wow, like that was interesting. And this game's not even out yet.
I'm scared to ask which video you guys are referring to.
The one that's just linked in Capcom just now. It's like 4 minutes long. The one that New Boy asked if I approve of. It's called A Decade of MvC2 or something or other.
Okay, new boy, please message that to me in private. Thank you.
Right. Oh, we're live?
Yeah, we're live.
Alright, cool.
Oh, nice.
We are live then. AlphaISM Radio, and we are salty as fuck!
Oh my god. I can't take it. Another week. It's gonna be a long week.
These are the worst 7 days. I've been saying it. These are the worst 7 days of the year. Easily.
Yeah, I was telling someone else, this is not an exaggeration whatsoever. The wait has actually disrupted my sleeping patterns. I can't sleep at like a normal time. I just kind of randomly doze off for a couple hours, and then I wake up and I start fiending, and I just sit here and I watch old YouTube videos that I've already seen 100 times, and I'm like, I gotta see it. I gotta. It's Marvel. I can't do it. I'm losing it.
Yeah, I'm up at every night at like 3 in the morning just to click it and say, hey, it's one less day, one more day, you know.
Yeah.
That we're one day closer.
You got the calendar with the big X's on it, and you're just crossing every day off. Yep, I hear you.
And I fall asleep, and it's still the same day when I wake up, so that's really disappointing.
Hey, at least you've played it. I have not played a single game of any build whatsoever, so I'm hurting right now.
Oh wow, I feel really bad for you.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know what? When I saw Li Joe play it, when I watched him play around with Chun-Li and Magneto, that's when it hit me. It's gonna be stupid. It's in a good way.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully it's stupid in the good way. That's what it's looking like. But for everyone that's just joining us, this is AlphaISM Radio, live podcast, hosted by myself, Ski Sonic, and I'm Ski Sonic. I'm not myself and Ski Sonic. By me and often Bunkei, who was here with me tonight, and my guest is Viscant, who will be a frequent guest in the future as he has promised.
Okay, I can do that.
See? Yeah, you do. And what we want to do tonight is tie up a loose end from the past and, say goodbye to a friend. because we want
That
to.
sounds so sad.
Yeah, we want to go over the history of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That's what we've done in the past for Marvel vs. Capcom. In 2009, I think, was when we actually tried to start this series, and I planned on finishing it soon after that. We didn't even know that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was coming out then. We were just...
Yeah, it wasn't on the table yet. It was just kind of a retrospective, kind of a Street Fighter 4 thing that we were doing it for. And
That's right.
now we have a reason to live again.
Oh my god, I can't...
Hey, I've told you this before. This game better be good, otherwise I've got to get a life.
Yeah.
So it's all on Marvel 3.
Yeah, well, yeah, I could see that, and me too. It's kind of make or break. Come on, Capcom, don't let me down here. Don't make me go find another hobby, because I don't think El Fuerte is going to hold me down for another...
No.
So, where we left off in our last show, I believe, is EVO 2002. So, you can actually check your AOL mail. I sent you a little primer of what we're going to go through tonight.
Alright.
Yeah, so we left off EVO 2002. So that was the infamous one-game finals.
UCLA? Okay.
Yeah, that was awesome, because that was Rodolfo's second crack at Justin that year after losing a pretty close one at ECC that year. This is to set the scene, to set the stage. This is still before YouTube, before YouTube. Videos are going out, but there's still a small number of videos such that you could watch every Marvel video that comes out, period. And, you kind of had a sense of all the players in the scene, but Rodolfo's videos were actually kept secret up until, he got out to ECC in, May of that year, Memorial Day weekend. So Rodolfo makes his, debut on the national stage. I think he had come down to you guys like a month before that, right?
Yeah, he'd been coming down, I think he came down to, to a few of the SoCal things. I think there was something, at UCLA that all of them came down to. And that was about the time that I actually believed in him, because there had been hype, and a lot of people just were not ready to believe in him, because, Ratana had been hyped up before, and no disrespect to him or anything, but he did not exactly live up to the hype. He was not going to be a duck
played
killer.
Iceman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who else? There was somebody else in
the Seattle camp. There was Rodolfo. There was Quan. There was Cody.
Quan.
They had Scott Wong. They had Fan. I don't know why I remember these guys' names.
What about J-Mar?
J-Mar is not even on the scene yet. J-Mar is still a young fetus, probably playing Counter-Strike somewhere in mom's basement. Headshotting fools.
Quan was coming on at around the same time too. I'm pretty sure he came to that UCLA tournament and he beat me, and I was pretty salty about that for a while.
Yeah.
And it's one of those cases where later on it's okay, I'm glad that he's good, because this means I didn't lose to a nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Always good to have your loss avenged by somebody, beating some other people.
Yes.
So 2002 rolls around. Justin makes it through to the finals to play Rodolfo again. We run out of time at EVO Grand Finals, so the Grand Finals are then shortened to one single game. This is amazing. This could never happen today.
How far have we come? Really, think about that. That we actually ran out of time at EVO. I can't wrap my head around that.
Imagine $10,000 on the line, and then they're like, "All right, well, it's gonna have to be one game." Oh my god! Oh man, the concept was. Oh, okay. So one game finals, and Justin takes it after actually losing the first game because he was in winners.
Mm-hmm.
Come around in 2003, and Rodolfo has a little bit fallen off of the map, so there's no real challengers to Justin, and this is where the era of Justin begins. This is where we left off, right?
Yeah. Did whatever happened to Rodolfo? Like, what happened to that group? Because
you guys might want to turn in Tuesday. We'll answer that question because I'm interviewing them.
Okay. That works.
Yeah. So Marvel was part of a big thing for AlphaISM Radio. This is the first time we'll have a webcam. I'm going to get a good quality webcam.
Ooh.
And I'm at Preppy, so he has fiber optic, so the upload won't be an issue. So, and we're going to stream some Marvel 3 matches, and we're going to interview all of the OGs.
I like that.
Cool.
Yes.
That's a good show. That's exciting.
So, yeah, well, I think that from what I heard at the time, Rodolfo was really just like a Marvel 2 guy. He really loved the game, and he was really, I think, trying to beat Justin, and I think he just kind of like lost the fire for a bit. We started to see him come back a few years later, but
right.
I think that he just wasn't really, I think he didn't want to travel as much. That kind of takes toll on a player. Hard to say, but being as how he was gone and West Coast had kind of done their 2 rounds of, let's see what we can do with Justin, and kind of lost. There was really not much of a challenger. Ricky became the best in the West, but Ricky was allied with Justin very much.
Mm-hmm. And you also have to mention Ricky didn't care.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
he was
It can't even be understated or overstated, I guess, how little Ricky actually cared about Marvel at this point. And it's not even that CBS2 had taken his full attention. He just didn't care about anything gaming related at the time. Like, he showed up, but he wasn't training. He wasn't, in the lab. He wasn't working on new stuff. He was just getting by. And because he's so good at games, he could get by.
And that's funny too. This is right around when he was like joined Empire, I think, and I think that they paid his debt that year so he could join Evo 2003. If I'm all correct here.
That sounds about right, because this debt had been going on for how many years now? Like, this was like a 2 or 3 year debt. It was going into running gag status at this point.
Yeah. Everybody thought it was a joke except the cannons.
Yeah.
So at this point, the Marvel 2 championship tournaments were ECC and Evo. Evo still very huge, but being as how there weren't a lot of challengers in the West, ECC was really prominent as far as competition goes. And that year, we had Mix Up come up from Florida, who everybody will remember as really the first, I don't want to say white guy Magneto.
Hey, Great White Hope. Don't have to sugarcoat it. He's the Great White Hope.
Don't want to say, yeah. Yeah, and he actually, at this tournament, ECC 8, Josh Wigfall, who was also a player that goes really far back. He was a great New York player in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, many other games, still a great player to this day. He threw Justin into the losers bracket at that tournament. Justin had a sort of a tradition of going into the losers bracket every year. That year, no failure, Wigfall put him into the losers bracket, and Mix-Up had the chance to eliminate him. And I will never, ever forget this. Justin's in the losers, and Mix-Up had him on the verge of elimination. Mix-Up was up a game, or it was 1-1, and he got Justin Sentinel in the Magneto Infinite, and he's sitting there hitting him with the Infinite. Out of nowhere, he snaps Sentinel out, and I could hear, everybody in the room kind of gasp. So in comes Cyclops, and I think he misses the guard break, or he does a guard break, and then Justin fights his way out of it, and then he experiences Evo Moment 37 way before it happened. And I asked him directly after this, why did you snap out Sentinel and bring in Cyclops when you had Sentinel in this Infinite? And he says, I wanted to kill him, and I didn't want to press him at that point, But,
yeah.
That was Justin's 5-year streak still going strong, and him just narrowly escaping defeat at ECC that year, and then at Evo that year, there was really no challenge. Rodolfo came out to Evo that year because you don't have to travel to Evo from West Coast, right?
Right.
Pretty much coasts his way, I think, to grand finals.
Well, this year, yeah,
or to losers finals. Sorry.
Yeah, this year it has to be pointed out how bad the SoCal Marvel scene was. I mean, it got pretty bad. Like, the San Diego guys, we were not playing at this point. Like, the whole Nickel City crew this is 2003, so we had fallen apart. I think, like, I had kind of moved on. It was at that point in my life where I was like only kind of nominally still a Marvel player, and like I'd play if it was there, but I was honestly playing Third Strike more than I was playing Marvel, so like that should tell you something there. I think that Shady K had kind of moved on a little bit, but he was still, he was on that Ricky status of I'm just really good at games, so I don't even have to try anymore, and I'll still beat a lot of people. Genghis fell out. I think it was work related this year, where like that guy's life kind of fell apart a little bit. So like San Diego, we were out of commission. Golfland had closed up, so all of those guys, like the traditional Golfland people, like they were out. Alex had been out for a year and a half. Duck had been out for a year. Like all the people who would later become like the big SoCal players, other than Sue, they weren't even around yet. It was bad. Like that year of Evo, like the West Coast, I mean, I'm looking at it, and I mean, I see a lot of West Coast names here, but we were not a real challenge. It was not. It wasn't legit. I'll just say that. That tournament was a farce. It was Justin and the Seven Dwarfs, really.
Okay. We're at 2003. Moving on. And yeah, West Coast has kind of fallen off, so the mantle falls onto Seattle at this point. So Seattle does really well at Evo, just as you said, taking third and fourth with Rodolfo and Quan. But like you said, Ricky really didn't care at this point, so he took second. And once it was Ricky and Justin in the grand finals, I remember half the room leaving Evo at that point.
Yeah, I think you and we actually walked out pretty much close together at that point.
Yeah, I was really close to the door, right. We were close to the door.
That was disappointing. He played MSP, and he could not have tried any less, like, without taking a hand off the controller or something. His Magneto, I don't think it moved forward in the entire 4-game series. He was just, I do not want to be here. I will collect my second place check and then more likely than not hand it over.
All right, so we're good, and we're back to 2003 for anybody who might just be joining, or just to recap if you fell asleep while we were gone. This is AlphaISM Radio. I'm Skisonic here with Viscant, and Bunkei is always here in the back on the ones and the twos. DS is here in text form, aka Spaceman Africa. And we are saying goodbye to our good friend Marvel vs. Capcom 2 by doing a history of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, picking up where we left off about 18 months ago in 2009, when we were kind of looking at MvC2 with comparison to Street Fighter 4. But now we're looking at MvC2 with eyes forward to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and trying to distract ourselves from all these combo videos and forum posts and Facebook photos. Oh my god. So, and we left off at Evo 2003 when Justin took first and Ricky Ortiz took second, but it really didn't matter who took first and second there because nobody watched the finals. Everybody left.
Yes. The mass exodus. Yeah. Rats fleeing the sinking ship and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Justin has now his real reign of dominance for like 2003 and for most of 2004. He's not really met with a real challenge, and except really, like at this point, it's up to Sanford really. ACC 2009. Roe came back. I guess I was wrong. Roe hadn't fallen out of the scene yet, because Roe actually came back in 2004 and gave it another go against Justin at ECC 2009. But this time, Philly stepped up. Philadelphia players never really got to travel for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 until late in its life, so it was always a question of how they would hold against really skilled players from the West. Here, they did very well against these Seattle players. A lot of black hearts and like unorthodox play threw off the Seattle players, and they really only Rodolfo was able to make it up there. Had those Philly players not been there, then you might have seen a repeat of a few years prior, when this onslaught of Seattle players really made it tough for Justin and got him into the losers bracket pretty early on in the tournament. But came down to Justin and Sanford, and this is where Sanford really looked like he was going to win against Justin, and he was really an unblockable away, I think, at some point. But again, the Justin factor. Justin comes back, wins ECC, and then took Evo really easily, right?
Yeah, that Evo, I'm looking at it and I see David Lee got second.
Remember that?
Yeah, I was there and I'm still like, well, that can't be right.
Yeah, right. Because you're like, wait a minute, wasn't he good in like 2002?
Yeah, he was good at this game when I was good at this game, and then he disappeared. Like this is more a part of like the fall apart of SoCal when he was good when he was part of like Peter's run crew, and that had been gone for years.
Peter being combo fiend.
Yeah, I honestly do not know how this happened. Although I'm looking at Genghis getting fifth, and I do know how this happened, because like this was the year that San Diego, we had like our first gaming house, and like Seattle had a gaming house also, but ours was like 5 guys living in the same house, Dreamcast on pretty much 24/7. Like I'd drop by at like 4 a.m. and there'd be people playing the Dreamcast there. And like, so 5 guys and 2 jobs between all of them. So we'd go through a Dreamcast pretty much once a month. Like we'd just kill one off, get another one, and just keep going. And I really expected Genghis to do better than 5th place here, because he was trying really hard. God, who did he lose to? I don't think he lost to Justin.
I think he lost to Executioner.
Oh.
Right? Wasn't that the one time that he got him, and he was and I think he was pretty salty about it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think that's what happened that year. And what this year says to me, this was the year where Desmond just couldn't get it quite together. That was the year that he was supposed to get his 2nd place to Justin. You know what I mean? Supposed to be able to lose against Justin on the big screen. But David Lee playing a spoiler, coming out of retirement, and like the Marvel gods just shined down upon him, I guess. and they said, hey man, here's the top 3 that you would do.
Yeah, here's your lifetime achievement. And like, it kind of has to be pointed out here, because you mentioned it, but like getting 2nd place to Justin, like at this point, that felt like a win. Like people would, they'd come on and they'd like slap him on the back and give him high fives.
Yeah, everybody was congratulating him.
Yeah, it really felt like he won the tournament, because like the thought of anyone beating Justin at this time, it's just like, it's not going to happen. Even if you beat him, like the game is going to decide that you didn't beat him, and he'll come back with 1 pixel on you, and that'll just be that. And
yeah, complete, total domination of the game. You know what's funny? I remember David Lee, he started picking all these teams on Desmond at that point. I think he picked like Magneto, Iron Man, Sentinel, or something like that. Magneto, Cable, Sentinel, but Sentinel was on drones or something. I'm like, wow, he's really taking it back.
he's going to the bag of tricks. It's that when you're overmatched, you're just thinking, all right, this will work once, but if it does work once, then I can win. So let's go for it. And it worked out for him. I mean, for some people it leads to them picking Marrow, but for David Lee, it worked out this time.
Right. Yeah. Other notable achievements in that one were, of course, Sue Mighty in top 8 with Harry Potter, and Chris Schmidt taking his first top 8.
Yeah, this
First
is
of
this is
many.
the start of Chris Schmidt. At the time, this was like kind of a big upset because I mean, nobody really knew who that guy was,
Right.
but he was pretty good. And him getting fourth over, like the bigger names beneath him, like Genghis and Randy Lou, Sue and Potter, like that shouldn't have happened. But it's not like he fluked anything out. I mean, he earned his placing, but still, even after he got fourth, I mean, people were like, "Who's Chris Schmidt?" But
Right. I mean, I definitely did not know who he was, like, for anything. And it was just kind of surprising to me that somebody that I really didn't know from, like, Adam could be there in the top 4 when I literally recognized all the other names. And,
exactly, yeah, Marvel was kind of a community game at this point. We knew everybody. I mean,
right.
some people would come up and some people would come back from out of nowhere like David did that year, but there weren't just people showing up and winning. It was, even though it was a game with like new faces, it was very much an old guard type of game, as in we had to know you had to get blown out for a couple of years before you could get good, and then, after everybody knew you, then you were like allowed to place and it would be okay. And Chris Schmidt kind of turned that on its head a little bit, and people were not happy about that. People really were kind of salty about that. But
well, come on, what's his name? It's like Chris Schmidt. He doesn't even have a cool gamer tag or anything, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was definitely he was definitely somebody to look out for. People vouched for him. They said he was good. I swear that I didn't see any of his matches that year, and he's just like, oh, what? He was just top 8. I didn't. Well, whatever.
Yeah, see, because he wasn't famous, he never got any matches on, on the big screens or on like, any of the major viewing areas. He was always off to the side, and he just kept winning. Was this the first year of console, or was that next year?
Justin, David Lee, Desmond. I would like to say that this was console. I would like to say.
Yeah, because the year before, that was definitely arcade. The Justin and Ricky year, that was arcade. I know that for sure. And I'm trying to figure out like when we went over to console because
yes, our fact checker. Yes. I am so good at putting together a show that our fact checker is here, telling us that 2K3 was the first console year. Thank you, DS. So,
oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's like it's Baba Booey, right? He's like, nope, tweet, nope, 2003. So yeah, we were on console.
Well, that's good to know. So was this the year? What was the year of like the giant team tournament that had Sue doing a million snapbacks? Okay, that had to be 2003.
Oh yeah, that was 03.
Yeah, because Long got top 8, even though he had to go to the hospital with his like drinking malfunction that year. And yeah, that's why Long got 7th. Yeah, Shady K got 7th that year instead of getting anywhere higher, because like when it came down to top 8 and actually having to play, that guy was about 5 or 6 hours out of the hospital. So that explains that away. But yeah, it kind of the change in the scene from arcade to console, like that kind of has to be mentioned because a lot of people had serious problems with that. And
right.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, sitting down and, getting a stable stick. And you got to think about this time, everybody's playing on like a MOS stick, maybe.
Yeah.
And they're not, and like not everybody had MOS sticks, and Mastix was such a tough company to even do business with for a while that, it was really like a chore, for a lot of players to get a stick. Like I think I played on Japanese sticks at the time. I played on green sticks, so they were easy for me. A little bit later when I made the switch to American sticks, I really found out what it was like trying to just get, the equipment that you wanted and getting like the feel that you wanted, because there's so much variation in the springs and all that for the American stick.
Did you ever actually do business with the MAS company, like those people?
No.
Yeah. All right. For those people who are listening who didn't, every time you called, it didn't matter what time of the day. Pretty much what point, but any time between 1998 and 2006, 2007, whenever you called, there would be a crying baby in the background. So, all right, yeah, Jedi Rob and I, we were talking about this at West Coast Warzone. We were trying to think, that first crying baby is probably in high school or later by now.
He's there handcrafting the sticks in the garage.
It was incredible, like the low level of professionalism that we were dealing with at the time. And
now it's his kids that are crying.
Yeah. Oh my god. And yeah, on Facebook, Nam is actually selling one of his mastics, and it's crazy. And like, I looked at that stick and I'm like, yeah, I played on that stick. That stick has cost me at least 3 tournament matches that I'm still salty about 5 to 10 years later. And I mean, that's what we were dealing with in the early days of console. The level of equipment, it was, it's so bad. And I mean, I'm not just saying this as like American sticks versus Japanese sticks now that I'm like fully a Japanese stick convert, but just the sticks that we were using,
You could be missing tons of inputs back then. We could have all been far, far better players than we knew we were.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Especially for a game like Marvel, where you're forced to be doing so many inputs in such a short amount of time that, you drop a couple of those, your Sentinel doesn't fly or unfly. Forget it.
Yeah. Your Sentinel's just eating shots, and that'll be that.
Target practice.
Yeah. And, like the thought that brought this on, the biggest problem with the Mastics is that goddamn yellow button. And I remember this because, like, this is probably the angriest I've been at a video game tournament as an actual adult over the age of 21. But it was one of those Pentland tournaments, and I was using Nam's stick, the one that is in his Facebook ad. And I was playing Duck, and I was going to beat him. Like, I had him in the Doomstorm, and I had Spiral and Cable at the same time, meaning I just get this hail out and I win. And somehow, as I was mashing, I hit the yellow button. So not only do I not get hail, an entire character dies by the time I actually figure out, oh, it was a yellow button problem. So that goddamn stick, that cost me glory. I'm breaking down right now. I can't take this.
Sorry, it's the worst is when you lose the glory. It's not the money.
It's not the money. The money means nothing.
It comes and goes. It comes and goes.
The money, this is at a time when money actually did mean a lot more to me, but still, it's not the money at all. It's winning. It's beating Duck, because at the time I was like, I don't know, 2 and however many else, so probably 2 and close to 200 against Duck. And it would have meant something, because, like, people actually cared. Like, people don't really read the tournament results for them as much as they used to. Like, at the time, kind of like a local tournament would happen, and then it would have like 50, 100 replies, people from all kinds of places. Wow, Jay beat Alex this time? Wow, Jay beat Duck? Wow, good job. You're awesome. You're going to beat Justin this year. Well, no, you're going to get second to Justin this year.
Yeah, right. You're not beating Justin this year. Oh, man. So, 2004, those Mastics, still getting them in line. Justin easily cruises through Evo. And, Marvel's kind of settled. I think this is when the resurgence of Third Strike is boiling. CVS2 is a game. Marvel is Justin's game, and it's kind of settled. It's like he's had it for these last couple of years. You better try to come up in CVS2. I was cool at this point, because I'm like, hey, I'm getting pretty good at CVS2.
Yeah. Well,
everybody, you had to, right?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting point in Marvel, because at this point, people were starting to think that Marvel was dying. Because this is the year that CVS2 had more entrants.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, CVS2 was a really hyped tournament that year.
Right, and Marvel was so boring. With David Lee in the finals, it was so boring.
You knew it was going to happen. Justin was going to win. It wasn't even interesting because, Justin would, like, we were still putting Marvel on last, so Justin would be mad about losing at whatever other games that he was playing. Like,
right.
I think 04, this was the full parry year, wasn't it, 04?
Yeah, I believe it was, and I believe
Yeah.
this is the last year that Marvel was last too.
Yeah. So, I mean, what happened with Marvel is Justin was so mad at losing at losing Third Strike that, I mean, he wasn't even going to have any fun with it. It was just pure domination.
And Justin will have fun with the matches. You know, if you are not aware, Justin will have fun in the grand finals when he knows he's gonna win. When there are people watching, he's gonna make
style a little bit.
Right,
Yeah,
you know?
he's gonna style on you. But this year, nope. I got full parried. You know, that
forgot
shouldn't
about
have
that.
happened.
Yeah.
So, David Lee, you're gonna get hurt. That's just how it is.
It was nasty. Those finals were a complete rout, and I remember the lights kind of going.
It was
going back
2004,
and
right? I'm not.
No, I think you're right. It was 2004. 2003, Justin wasn't good at Third Strike then, so it wouldn't have been then. All right. You still with me, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that was the year of the full parry. I'm fairly certain. Justin was kind of good at Third Strike that year because of that. Because he had kind of so asserted his dominance in in Marvel 2, you know, throughout that whole last year that he had to branch out in the other games. So that was the year of the full parry because the year where he got second was the next year. So right. And you're right that those finals were a complete rout. And I remember the lights going up after that. And everybody's just kind of like, I remember just thinking like, yeah, I could see this being the last year for Evo. This could be it.
This is it for Marvel because you know it's all old blood people at this point, and it's just not interesting. And something needs to happen. Something needs to happen.
I was thinking that was it for Evo, man. I was like, forget it.
Really?
Yeah. Every 4 years, I noticed I get this Olympiad feeling. In 04 and 08, I was just like, man, it's so bad. You know, like this might even just. But then it's like, oh, what betas of new games in 08 and. I don't know. I mean, you know, obviously I was wrong, but you know, it was really kind of dwindling down at that point. Definitely Marvel, like you said. So, I remember our next moment in 2004. I'll never forget this moment because I was out in school in Ohio, and so when I'm at school, I'm a little bit, you know, displaced from the scene. I'm not like with people that play the games. When I was at school, I had next to no one that played Marvel 2. There was literally one single person on my whole campus that played video games like I did, and he was actually kind of decent, but he was a good student, so like he wasn't gonna play video games like I want to play video games. So
can't believe people like that.
Right, you know. I'm like, what are you studying for, man? You need to learn your combos. Anyway, so I'm just kind of separate from the scene, and Arturo calls me, you know, late this Saturday night, and I'm like, I was actually doing some homework or something, studying, and I'm like, what is Arturo calling me for? And he's like, yo, man, you don't believe this? Sanford just beat Justin. The streak is over. And like, I almost dropped my phone. I'm like, this is insane. What are you talking about? How does Justin lose? And it actually happened. He tells me that, it was just, you know, another, you know, normal tournament. This is a pretty big tournament for New Jersey. Breakpoint was a tournament that they've been having in series, you know, at the break in New Jersey. But, like we said, the rise to Justin's dominance had to come from Sanford at this point because Justin goes over to the West Coast, defeats everyone for free. So, Sanford had kind of been nipping at his heels and was really the only person that had the opportunity to play him enough to figure out how to beat him. And he finally put it together. And as Arturo told me on that phone call, there was just no comeback, no Justin Long factor. And that was what allowed Sanford to really put it together that time.
Wow.
Yeah. And Demon Hio took third at that tournament. Of course, Justin Long taking second. So this is also when Demon Hio was pretty solidly the third place player on the East Coast. You know, it was always Justin, Sanford, and a Magneto. You know, coming up.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. For a while, it was Justin and like Desmond and a Magneto or something, you know. But like, yeah, it was Justin, a Sentinel, and a Magneto. Mm-hmm. It's like a Marvel team right there. So, Sanford finally takes a win from Justin, ends the streak, and that's the end of 2004. That was November or October, November, right? So 2005 is, I think, like what you refer to so affectionately as the modern Marvel era. Like, I think that's when it started.
Yeah. Well, it's when, new people start coming in, and the old guard kind of falls off a little bit. But yeah.
They fell off pretty hard, I think, and I feel like at this point, the game started to change a little bit. And what's interesting about this is, here is where the Magneto, really starts to make his presence known. Like, theoretically, up until this point, MSP is a really, really good team that just loses to Sentinel. This is still, to give it a comparison, for people that aren't familiar with older games, you might say Rufus and Sagat in Vanilla Street Fighter 4, where Rufus is a great character, but just go get Sagat and you're good. Just do what you're supposed to do, and that's a win, right?
Right. Solve that. Problem is solved, pretty much.
Solved, right. That's a word that we need to use a lot in fighting games and video games in general. That was solved, and, Magneto wasn't getting in there and doing it. And, like I said, theoretically, Magneto had it in him, but there was nobody that had the kind of skill and the dexterity that was necessary. Even when you had guys like Sue Mighty that were doing all this incredibly crazy stuff, there was nobody that was going to put it together to make the win. But here around this time, Jamar burst onto the scene, and he was referred to as Mr. Impossible because he made these ridiculous comebacks with his team of Magneto, Storm, Sentinel. So he took the Rocket Punch assist from his teammate, I would say, or the player and his local player, Rodolfo. He took the Rocket Punch from Rodolfo team, and then threw Storm on there, the best character. So he's playing MSS, and he plays it in such a way that every hit is deadly, and he's in the fight from beginning to the end, no matter what. You can never rest on your laurels against this guy. Did you ever get to play him?
Not really. I was gone at this point. I took almost all of 2005 off, pretty much.
That's funny. 2005 was my year on, man. Oh my God. I don't want to say, I can't really say, but I went to a lot of tournaments in 2005. I'll just say that. So, yeah. Jamar came down to, I didn't go to final round that year, but Jamar went down to final round that year. So that's a really long way to travel from Seattle all the way down to Atlanta. Pretty sure that's the year that he did that. Took second to Justin. Forces Justin to switch to, I believe he played Magneto, Storm, Cyclops. It was either Magneto, Storm, Cyclops or Magneto, Storm, Psylocke, MSP against Jamar. And around this time, Justin is still traveling to Marvel 2 tournaments, from 03, 02 to 05. There would still be Marvel 2 tournaments where they were premier. Marvel 2 was the premier game, and Justin would travel and just win it. And that only lasted for so long because every time it was going to be Justin. But for a while, there was still, tournaments where it was hey, Marvel 2 is going to be a big game, and Justin's going to come and probably win it. If it's big enough, Justin's going to come. And if not, maybe we'll have a tournament. So that's what that was. Justin had been forced to switch to a few counter teams. So this is where people are starting to nip at Justin's heels again after Justin's already, lost the chink in the armor to Sanford. Now finally, the country is kind of getting to him, but they're making him use different teams, and he's still winning decisively. So we had ECC X that year after final round, and that's actually where Yipes first burst onto the scene. I remember that because Yipes money matched a friend of mine, Isaac Graham, who was kind of one of those, notable Magnetos. Yipes money matches my friend as soon as he gets in there and scrapes him 4-0, and that's the beginning of Yipes, right? Because I did not know who Yipes was. Nobody, he wasn't really, he was just kind of a Chinatown Fair guy. And my friend is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've played him, and, you know, I've beaten him before. This is going to be free. And he got manhandled.
Yeah, we didn't really know who Yipes was yet. I mean, I know that nobody on the West Coast did, really. So, if that was his coming out party on the East Coast, he still didn't, I don't think anybody really cared out here yet, but.
That's right. He didn't do too well in the tournament, so you didn't have much of a reason to. And at this point, Marvel was like so competitive because, you know, Justin lost, so everybody's kind of hungry that at ECC that year, they did the invitational tournament where they had a 10-man round robin of like all of these really big name players. So Yipes was actually in that. Justin and Sanford were in it, but it was a huge surprise to everybody that Combo Fiend took third in that invitational round robin. Potter was also in it. J Mar, who I mentioned, was in it. Josh Wigfall, Reset, Smooth Viper, and Isaac Graham, who I mentioned, that had the money match with Yipes.
Mm-hmm.
But when all was said and done and all the smoke cleared, even though there were some incredibly great matches in that one, it just came down to Justin Sanford. And Sanford actually won. So he won every match in the elections. It was a really cool themed tournament, the elections. And everybody was invited. I think a couple people might have even been voted in there. But, yeah. So Sanford took that one, 9-0. Justin losing only to Sanford. And then surprisingly, Combo Fiend was 5-4. Combo Fiend hadn't been good in Marvel for a while. But since this game sort of shifted towards like offense and like huge damage and like things like that, he started to figure out ways to make Iron Man work for him again.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Because, I mean, for a while he wasn't trying just because the game wasn't as interesting to him. But I think he took a lot from other people, and once he saw that the game, that his particular talents could fit the game, that he actually started putting forth an effort again. And I mean, he would keep trying for a couple of years, but when I'm looking through this, I'm actually surprised that he did this well this year, because I really didn't think that he was better than some of these guys.
Right, you know, but that is the story of Combo Fiend. Like, at every tournament, every time, you know, he's like, well, you know, you haven't seen Combo for a while. He probably hasn't been practicing. His character isn't even very good. I don't really see it. And then he does some crazy combo shit.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, I think that year we had the first regional evolutions as well. I don't remember who won Evo East, but Evo West, Sue and Chunk in the final. So here is Chunksta coming into his own as well.
Mm-hmm. People didn't take Chunk seriously.
Well, his name is Chunksta. I really think that is a huge part of it, man.
Yeah, that's kind of working against you.
Come on.
You gotta, you know, at least sound cool, sound dangerous. But Chunk, no, that's not dangerous. That's not cool.
So,
I don't know. NorCal wasn't. People really didn't think that NorCal was any good. I mean, yeah, there was Ricky, but I mean, Ricky's gone by now. I mean, he's still good at the game because he's good at games, but I mean, Ricky's gone. And like Randy Liu and Ronald Liu, like those guys were good at like a different kind of Marvel. Cause like we were talking about, this is now a more offensive version of Marvel, and they like Evolution kind of passed them by, so to speak. So,
yeah. And so let me just interrupt you briefly on the topic of Ricky. When he was really good the first time in Marvel 2, his team was Cable, Storm, Cyclops, and that was his team.
Yeah.
The second time, when he, like you said, he didn't care, he played MSP and he coasted on his abilities and his reactions and his ability to like complete combos and that kind of thing. And even to like salvage combos after messing them up with a team like MSP, that is, you have that in spades. So that was really a team that was just so very well suited for him. So this is a different Marvel.
One thing I want to point out about Ricky's MSP, he didn't play around with characters. Like most people who played MSP at the time, and I mean, even honestly, even still to this day, like they got too enamored with resets, and they got too enamored with trying to show how much better they are than the other person. And like Ricky's go-to move with Magneto would be launch you into Tempest and then hail. And it's so basic, but I mean, he would just be like, all right, well, I hit you with Magneto. I'm going to kill a character. I'm going to get the lead. Can you beat my Storm?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Right, all right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, so many other people's MSPs would have been a lot better, but they're like, nope, I practiced this reset for hours in training mode. I just want to show it off. And wait, it got blocked? Oh, well, now I got to get in again? Well, that's the end of me.
Yeah, he's not. That wasn't his strong suit. His strong suit was like getting a lead and like holding that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the year when Daigo came back to Evo or something, right? I think that's what DS is saying. Let's get some confirmation here from DS. We got a really cool Evo 2005 DVD trailer from James Chen, of course, who makes some of the best videos in the biz. Boss was there that year. Combo Fiend did really well in CVS2 that year with Rock. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, the king was Duck Joe. Right.
Oh, this,
right.
Okay, this is,
skipping
Green Valley Ranch year. Okay.
Yeah. Getting ahead to Evo. But before we get to Evo, I do want to say about 2005, Zach D, I think, came about at this time, and he started going to almost every major Marvel tournament. And he pretty much directly funded the life of Marvel 2 for like years with his website, which is still up, zacd.com/MvC2, has really all the Marvel 2 videos that anybody needed and that everybody watched for years. That was your primer in the game. That's how all these players, this whole like new class of gamers came up. I guess the new class that we're going to get into, but right here is where, Zach D started really chronicling the scene and just making it so accessible to everybody. So we get to Evo.
The Return of Duck.
Yeah. I don't know how this happened.
Well, all right. We got to give a little bit of backstory. This is the MLG year of Evo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of a strange Evo. Like timing is off a little bit. Was this our first year in Vegas?
This is right. Yeah, this is our first year in Vegas. Right, you said Green Valley Ranch year, right. And the other big major that we had this year is Texas Showdown 5, and Justin's already like beaten Sanford pretty badly with the MSP, right? So you're still feeling Justin from Marvel, and you're not really expecting too much.
It was proven that Justin could be beaten, but people didn't believe that Justin could be beaten, even though it had already happened.
Right. So MLG is there with us that year. So we had Halo, I think, at Evo.
Yeah.
Maybe Smash Brothers too. I'm not sure if it came yet.
I don't know. I don't think Smash was there yet.
I remember that Halo guy popping his collar at the Marvel 2 guys when we got loud. He was upset. He was upset at us.
Yeah, that kind of has to be mentioned because our scene and the MLG scene, it's completely different. We were too loud for them. There was actual gamer on gamer strife going on.
Yo, there were like frag dolls there, and we were like, yo, and attack a frag doll. Was it you? It was you. You liked the redhead, didn't you?
No, not well.
Yeah. I think you did.
So I was making mistakes with my life at this point. I wouldn't miss Evo for women for another couple years, but it was touch and go this year actually. So the less said about this, the better. Let's just move on.
Man, 2005 was so awesome for video games. Man, everybody went so hard in Marvel 2 that year. Yeah, right. Like we said, Justin won Texas Showdown. Oh, Sanford won Evo. Yeah. So, I guess we know that Justin can lose, and Sanford has won one, and I guess, but Sanford definitely did not come to Evo that year.
Wait. This
Oh no, he did
No,
come to
this is
Evo
the year
that year.
he had to play Duck
That's that
pools.
year. That's why
Yeah.
2005 was so awesome. All right, pause, rewind. 2005 from start to end. First we had ECC. Sanford wins. Actually, first we had TS5. Okay, no. First we had. Why am I reading my notes backwards when I could read them forwards in the right order? Okay. First we had final round. Justin wins. Then we had Texas Showdown. Justin wins again. Okay. Then we had ECC in May. Sanford wins. It was a pretty close one, I'm sure. And J-Mar got third. So yeah, that's how we're looking in the scene. So it's really kind of up in the air. The game is competitive again.
Right.
Yipes
It's
is
actually
out.
yeah, it's actually exciting because somebody might win. So
Right. Yeah. This is a good time in Marvel. That's why this year is so awesome. Yipes is out. J-Mar's out. Sanford has taken Justin down from his pedestal, and so everybody is beatable. The West Coast has some killers again with Sue back and up and running, and Chunk doing his thing. So it's actually competitive again and really interesting. So we get to Evo, and the return of the king is of course Duck Doe. Sanford did make it to Evo this year, if I'm not mistaken, and lost to. That was the next year.
No, this because he had to play Duck in pools.
But didn't they run the money match as the run back?
Wait,
that's
really?
The next year.
Okay, maybe it was next year.
I'm thinking, and we're gonna get confirmation from our fact checker if he can recall. But I'm thinking in 2005. Sanford did not go to Evo. Really hard for me to remember. Hard to say. The money match was definitely in 2006.
Right.
So I'm thinking that Sanford did not make it out to Evo 2005. Okay. Of course, Justin does. Justin loses early to Rob Zilla from Hawaii. What's awesome is that, Rob Zilla is listed as USA. They probably don't know where he's from, but he was from Hawaii. And, I think it was that yellow button again. When Justin lost, it looked like he kind of ate some damage from a hailstorm for no reason.
Right, I remember.
Yeah. And everybody was kind of like checking the video.
That match should have never happened because I played Rob Zilla either one round before that or 2 rounds before that, and he should have been beaten because I'm not going to be a jerk or anything, but he wasn't on Justin's level because he was on my level, and my level at this point was way below actual competitive level. So him beating Justin, this is more than just like early tournament malaise. Something bad happened here. So he did get 7th. But,
right.
I mean, we were pretty sure that there was like a yellow button or some kind of other controller malfunction, and I don't think Justin ever protested it. I think he was just like, okay, whatever, I lost.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else was pretty sure that something happened here.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Rob Zilla. Rob Zilla is a baller. Okay. Most other players in that situation would still find a million ways to lose those games to Justin.
Oh yeah.
A million ways. Easily. Rob Zilla didn't lose.
No. He finished it. He finished the job. When he had his opening, he finished the job. And like we were talking about, with the Great White Hope and with Desmond, the 1 year of the 1 pixel cable or whatever, people had their chances. Everybody had a chance on Justin. I had my chance on Justin in 2002. I had him down to about, I don't know, maybe 10% of Storm, and I had this situation in 2 consecutive games, kill the Storm, win the match. And I had my shot, I got J-factored. And, everybody else got J-factored. Rob Zilla didn't. He finished the job, so credit to him.
Yeah. It's rare when you don't fall victim to the Wong effect, and I know I have been on the receiving end of that many times. You are not the same player when you're playing Justin. You're not. It doesn't matter who you are. Well, unless you're like Daigo.
Yeah.
Or something. You're just not the same player. That's his strength. He makes you suck ass. So finally, we get to Evo of that year, one of the most competitive years of Marvel. Justin loses to Robzilla, and then later to Yipes, gets eliminated at 4th place. Did he lose? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lost to Yipes. And the Return of the King that we're talking about is Duck Doe, who came out of retirement. Duck Doe, of course, won B4 Marvel 2, and got 2nd place at B5 Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and that's the Evo tournaments before it was called Evolution. So B4, B5, B3, B4, B5, and then
B3 was unrelated.
Right. B2, B4, right? Or I don't know. I always get confused on this one.
Yeah, we the way I remember it, like B3 and B2 happened years ago, and when we wanted to have like a West Coast version of ECC in Midwest, they were like, well, let's bring the B name out of mothballs and let's call this tournament in Sacramento B4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it was just B4 and then B5 and then started Evo. So Evo, Duck is the returning king, having a championship under his belt, and he brings back the old school style of Lockdown with him, and an electrifying finals against Yipes sealed the deal.
Yipes was confused. I mean, you got to go back and see those matches, and you can just see him standing there. Because, all right, Yipes never stands. He's doing something at all times. There are points in that match where he's just holding down back, and he's like, "What am I supposed to do? I do not know what to do."
Yeah.
And it's not just him. It happened to a lot of other people. Like, I remember like the same thing happened to Reset, because I remember at the time I was thinking, all right, Reset is going to beat him. Reset is coming up. Duck is on the way down. Reset's got him. Reset had no idea what to do. He wasn't playing when like Spiral Sentinel was still a big team. And the same thing happened to Potter. That's what has to be mentioned about Duck's run through. For the last like 4 or 5 matches that Duck played, everybody was like, yeah, he had a good run. He's out this time. He's playing.
Right. I remember that.
And everybody just he managed to run into everybody who was not around at that point.
I remember Potter being the most upset at the end because he's like, no, just get Sentinel and just press up and roundhouse.
Potter really thought he was going to win. I really thought he was going to win. But I remember at the time, I was actually sitting relatively close to him, and I was just watching him while he was waiting after he'd won his first match, and he's just like, I got this. I'm going to win Evo. I am going to win Evo. And he got 200 knives stuck in him, and he did not win Evo.
Oh, he played Duck? I didn't know.
He played Duck, and it was one of those cases where I was, like, before the match, I was really sure that he was going to beat Duck. And then within about 20 seconds of that match starting and watching his characters, like, kind of move around and, like, go about getting it on Spiral the complete wrong way, I was like, he's not winning this. Let's see if he can get another shot and figure it out, but he's not winning this one.
Yeah. He didn't get his shot because he lost to Yipes in the losers finals. Yipes, I'm pretty sure Yipes scraped him, if I do recall.
That seems to be about right. Yipes was a monster this year. This was the year of the Yipes and Sue money match, right?
Yeah, because that was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and Yipes hurt him. He was a full-fledged monster at this point. This is when I took notice of him, because I kind of knew that there was this guy named Yipes who was supposed to be pretty good, but when I was first hearing about the Yipes versus Sue, I was ready to bet on Sue, and it's a good thing I didn't, because that was free.
Yeah. I definitely liked Yipes in that one, and I got there. Oh, I think I actually bet on that one. I think I actually went and got Sue for that one, and then I felt bad about it. Because I was like, hey man, you want to do this money match? And then, like, immediately after saying it, I was like, he's probably gonna get messed up. Like, I don't know. But I think it was, I mean, I think he gave him, a close few matches, MSP for the most part, but
they played again in the tournament, and however bad it was in the money match, it was worse in the tournament, because there was a point where it's like, is Sue going to get perfected here? This could happen. He scrounged out a couple hits, but I remember the more games they played, the worse it was getting for Sue.
Nice. Man, that was such a good year for Marvel, and Justin did get fourth that year. We got second in Third Strike. That was what we were saying earlier. This is where Justin's attention kind of starts to divert towards other games a little bit. So he did really, really well in Third Strike that year.
Yeah, he was starting to try in CVS2 around this point also. Because before, like when he was in CVS2, he was playing like Ratio 2 Vega, and he was on like the full Eddie Lee character selection. I think he was actually in top 8 at EVO one year with like Seagroove Mai or something. It's
some weird team.
Yeah, this guy's not even trying, but he started taking CVS2 a little bit more seriously around this point. Ricky helped him out a lot in that.
Right. That whole alliance really paid off. I think Justin really matured as a player in other games then. So, 2005, the most awesome year of Street Fighter, or one of the most awesome years ends then.
I honestly think that was the best EVO from a competitive standpoint. There were so many moving pieces here. That was the year of DSP being the highest place or the highest American placer in Super Turbo. It's Duck coming back. The Third Strike that we already talked about. CVS2 delivered again. I mean, for as shaky of a game as CVS2 was in these middle years, at EVO it delivered every year.
Yeah. Even with like the inevitable, it's one game now, so you better play pretty hard, which happens every year.
Why did that happen? Like, I remember sitting there talking with Kim, Ohio Kim, and he was legitimately angry. He's like, yeah, we went to console so we wouldn't have one game. Why are we having one game?
Yeah, because, they would always plan for it to take, like, a certain amount of time, but it would pretty much take longer every time. And, it was really just that there wasn't enough time, I guess. Or not enough resources plus time. That sucked, though, but, we've moved on since then, I hope. That's another one that that's the same one that we talked about earlier, but we'd hope to never see that one again. Mm-hmm. When your game gets put to one game, hurts.
It really does. Because CVS2, it was my main game at the time. Like, when I was coming to EVO, I was coming as more of a member of the community than as like actually caring about any of these games. Like, I remember this is the year that I wrote the 50,000 word EVO log. And I mean, at least 3/4 of that is stuff that happened outside of the EVO hall. But as far as games went, CVS2 was what I really cared about. And it was one game for this year and the next year, and probably the year before that also. It's heartbreaking. It just is.
Yeah. And this is where people like Yipes are getting pretty fast. So I'm having fun still, MSPing it up. Like I said, we had some really good players around me. So my transition to just kind of playing it really fast is cool, but pretty soon the game is gonna get past me. I mean, like I'm still hanging, but I have no qualms about getting my butt kicked. But 2006, I like to call the new class, because here is finally, we've had a year of really competitive Marvel, and Justin didn't take EVO. So now, there's a whole new, breed of stars. The eyes, are cast upon different players at this point.
Right.
So like we had Duck Jr. really come up, and this is where like the drama of Marvel. Yeah.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, background on this. So the 2005 year, when he's still known as Duck Jr., and people around here are calling him Venus Williams because of the beads that he would have in his hair.
Mm.
So 2005, when Duck wins, he's up there on the stage with Duck, and like he's still friends with all like the West Coast guys. And I specifically remember him saying, "We up here you down here.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So the fact that he became this person and he went through his like pro wrestling gimmick change around this point.
Yeah, man.
This is Marvel getting out of control. This is Marvel. We got to go here at some point.
Yeah, so Duck Jr. emerges and he will make his turn, his heel to face turn, or his face to heel turn.
Yeah.
And so he has a click, and guys like, what was surprising? You knew it was very, very wrestling because when Duck Jr. became Dark Prince, Reset was on his team, right? And no, it's wrestling because he's a good guy. He's a face, but like he's allied with the heel, so he joins up with the heel. I was like, damn, wow, we really getting the factions.
Yeah,
Wolfpack over there.
and he really did. He had that whole group that like formed around him, and it wasn't just like the hangers on like Mike Chaos, who he would become good, but he wasn't anybody yet. It was like that whole group, the Regency group. And like the Super Arcade group, they all kind of got behind Dark Prince. And when was the Clockwork Money match? Was that 2006 or
that was 2007? That would be the next year.
Yeah, because like by that time, everybody in SoCal who wasn't one of like the older players rallied around behind him.
Right. Yeah, he took 2006 to build his name. So I think he went to final round that year. He had a few run-ins with some players. And then he goes to ECC that year. And he has more run-ins with players. He might have went to final round the year before that. But ECC that year is kind of where he starts to first have his altercations, I would say, with the East Coast, the Josh Wigfall incident. Without getting into too many details, but I mean, I guess I would say that he broke his hand that weekend of his own volition. It's not like somebody broke his hand, but he definitely left that weekend with a broken hand. And I got 25th place at that ECC that year, 2006, and that I've never been more proud of a placing in a Marvel tournament. That tells you how hardcore it was at that time. Like I'm telling you, man. The scene was just bubbling because Justin comes back. Justin's a little bit salty about, his losses, and it's not like there's some Street Fighter 4 or anything. All the other games, although they're a little bit newer, it's not like they're gonna pay off so much more than Marvel, and
right.
That glory is important. So Justin's still very, very competitive, and all these other players are very, very competitive. So that whole top 32-man bracket, like nobody wanted to play anybody.
Mm-hmm. No, we still had like the same head count, but everybody was good. I mean, everybody who stuck around by this era of Marvel, everybody was dangerous. You couldn't take it any rounds off. It was just everybody can beat you.
Yeah, the game was solved in very many aspects, and everybody had done their studying. God, we should have really been probably doing like some advanced mathematics, and perhaps we'll be able to put all those hours to something useful for mankind. But
nope, Marvel.
And it was awesome. It was fucking awesome. So that was ECC 11. Justin Wong, who did lose to Sanford, came out of the losers bracket again. Sanford Kelly second place, Yipes third place in the trio that we would see very, very often, Justin, Sanford, Yipes. And then Smooth Viper was fourth, who we also saw right there after those three so very often in the next few years.
Yeah, he was there a lot. We were actually sweating him a little bit more than Yipes at this point. Just because people thought that he was more solid than Yipes. And that just kind of goes to show how far like the SoCal mentality was behind where Marvel actually was, because I mean that doesn't even really mean anything to how Marvel was actually being played at the time. Yipes was clearly better, but people still thought that Smooth Viper was a little bit above him because they respected his style a little bit more.
Yeah. And there were, there were a few SoCal representatives there, like you said. Like Duck Jr. was there. I think Reset was there with him. A couple others. I think Potter was out there at that tournament. But yeah, East Coast solidly taking that one. And at that tournament, in addition to the Duck Jr. drama, he had his money match with Josh Wakefall there. So if you guys want to see what the drama was like, then check YouTube for the video. Duck Jr. Josh Wakefall. Oh, cool. It's linked in the chat.
Yeah,
wow.
we got
nice.
it here.
Awesome. All right. So I guess we can move on to Evo that year. Justin comes back and wins it against Chunkster in the finals. Not a lot to say about that top 8, really. Yipes wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, Chunkster kind of rolled over that year. The game was much more competitive, but he had let his mind go back to like 2003 era where it's like, I got second, I won the tournament.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
He would lose pretty handily to Justin, and it was very disappointing because he was destroying so many other people. His Sentinel was filling the void for Sanford.
Oh yeah.
So, him right there, that could have easily been Sanford just sliding right into there. But Chunkster's Sentinel was so good that it was no surprise for him to beat. I think he took out Yipes and Sue on his way to top 8, or on his way to second that year. But that is the year that Sanford did attend Evo. He did play Duck in the pools and lose. So that's why we had the Duck Sanford.
That was the worst pool ever in Marvel, because Duck and Sanford played second round. Who else was there?
I think Rodolfo was.
Yeah, Ro was in that same pool. And I mean, these weren't like the giant pools from 2003 where there are 4 pools. This is a small pool.
Yeah.
That wasn't. I don't know. It's random. You gotta be fair.
Yeah, was this that year? Right. All right. I think this is that year. There's a possibility that might have been the next year. That definitely happened, where those 3 were all in those pools. But I'm not sure that was that year. Either way, we did have this Duck Sanford money match that year, and that was another watershed moment in Marvel history, because if Marvel 2 wasn't the premier game at Evo, or a game that drew notoriety and really put people's wallets on the line, there were like $6,600 in side bets on that one, gathered up from the East Coast and the West Coast, and that was the first time like a money match, took the main stage. I mean, I guess I should say a 2-man tournament took the main stage at Evo.
We gotta, I don't know, we gotta find somebody to link the trailer for that on there. I believe it might be linked there, because DS is saying that I'm topless in that, and it's true. and hey, I'm actually proud of it that year, because I had abs that year. That was before the dark times of the In and Out. But anyways, we actually got on like separate sides. There was like a Duck side of the room and a Sanford side of the room.
Oh yeah.
And I can't remember anything like that ever happening. Ever.
It was the energy in there was absolutely absurd.
Definitely. It was surreal.
Yeah, I called in AlphaISM radio, and I was trying to call them with the phone on my shoulder and a camera in my lap, and give them the play-by-play while I'm recording, and I'm just fumbling all over the place trying to see what's going on. Duck did the push block air hyper viper beam out of the spit hyper sentinel force, which was oh my god. oh my god. Duck, what he did right there was basically break a block string that was a solid block string for all intents and purposes. For where the game was solved, he broke it. He was like, nope, you forgot to carry something. The solution is totally false. This can be done reliably. He did it twice against Sanford in that series, and really made people stand up and take notice of Duck again, if you hadn't already. But that was really incredible. I don't know. There's not much else to say about that, but that was really a moment.
It was. I don't know. Money matches had existed in Marvel before this. I've said on SRK before that money matches had been a part of Marvel culture pretty much because of Justin. And I'm not sure if you agree with this or not, but my theory on this was that, I mean, we had gone for so long where second place was the real win, but it wasn't even reliable, because if you ran into Justin early, I mean, there were just so many killers in the losers bracket for you that, tournament placings didn't really matter that much. So money matches, that started to be your way of really getting attention and really getting, notoriety on yourself. And I mean, we're going to get to the Dark Prince stuff later, but I mean, this was it wasn't like the coming out party so much as it was like, this is serious. This is as big as the tournament. Because really, when I think of EVO that year, I think of the Duck Sanford money match way before I think of the tournament. I had to look at your notes to see who won. And then I remembered, oh yeah, Justin blew Chunk out and I didn't want to watch anymore. But I mean, it was second place to that money match.
Oh yeah. In the top 8, it was really just like, oh, is Sue gonna be able to do something against Justin? Nope. All right, here comes Justin.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sanford did make it to EVO that year, did not qualify. I think, like Viscant said, he lost to Duck and then Rodolfo. If not that year, then the next year, but that definitely happened. So, let's move on to 2007. Duck Jr. now officially undergoes his name change. So he's Dark Prince Kronos now, DPC. Oh, I'm just getting a note. Somebody's probably mad about that now. Oh yeah, I hope you linked the. Okay, good. The Dark Prince Kronos interview is linked. I hope you guys are seeing him smoking a hookah right now, looking like a boss.
That was just. Because all right, you have to realize he was a nice kid before this. Like, I'd go up to James' games and I'd play some games and he'd be like, "Hey Jay, it's good to see you. You still playing?" Oh, well, that's too bad. Well, come on out. Let's get some games. It's like, all right, it's good to see you, man. Everything's cool. And then within a period of like those 3 to 6 months where, like you were saying, he went to final round, he went to ECC, he went a couple other places. Like the next time I went to see him, he had already taken his show on the road and he'd like refined his character. And he's like, I come up and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like, "Don't speak to me. I'm the Dark Prince 666." I'm like, all right, well, where are we going here?
Yeah, man, he had already been down in OVW and put in his time at the power plant. He's got a real gimmick ready for him now.
And like when that video came out, I mean, people who knew him before, like they saw this video and they're like, "Man, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What are you trying here?" But I mean, it like you said, it had already been fleshed out. He was going with it. He was trying to create the drama around himself, and it worked. It worked. He got exactly what he wanted out of this.
He did a really good job of it too. Right around that time, it gets kind of warm. People are like, EVO is like a few months away. Well, how many of these competitive juices bubbling? And then he comes out and he's like, "Hey, Clockwork, you're washed up. You suck. Let's have a money match." I don't even remember the terms for this. I don't know how to.
Yeah, he's calling out all the washed up players. I don't know if my name appears.
I think it was got motherfucking, what is it? Got washed up motherfuckers like Clockwork. And shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down the 505 and on that.
Yeah, he's calling out all these people, and it's like, most of these people are like, "Do I even know you?" Because, I mean, Shady K had no issue with him. I don't even know why Long got brought up. I mean, I remember talking to Clockwork, and he's like, "I play Final Fantasy XI. Why are you talking about me?" He just really wanted to make this name. And it worked.
Yeah, so for everybody
I almost feel bad for like playing into his game, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For everybody that's just joining us, this is AlphaISM Radio. We are saying goodbye to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with our Marvel vs. Capcom 2 scene retrospective. We started this series in 2009. We're trying to finish it up tonight. I'm Ski Sonic here with Viscant. Bunkei is here. DS is on the keys, and we have just been joined by Nothing XS with that DPC impersonation.
A good one too.
Yeah. So, where we just left off, cool. We're making some good progress. We're very far into the scene now, or into the history now, at 2007, and we're on the name change from Duck Jr. to Dark Prince Kronos and his money match with Clockwork. This is actually pretty cool. One of the things that I take away from this series of money matches he had, as you said, with Clockwork, later with Shady K, and then the one with Justin at EVO, where Justin did play, and I'm not mistaken at all, Ruby Hart, Jill, and Ken. That was his team. The whole first to 7. And it was like 7-4.
He won some matches, yeah.
He won a lot of matches. He got a double snap, man.
I think he got up to 6. It was. I think he got up to 6 games.
No, I don't think he got 6 because it was like or maybe it was a first to 10 and he got 6.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a first to 10.
Okay,
and it wasn't close, but it was way closer than it should have been.
All right, DS at 7-4, whatever it was something like the ratio of like 4 to where you needed to win 7 or 6 where you needed to win 10. He was just a few games away, and what actually happened was that Justin was playing a pretty solid game. Clearly horrible with the team. He was garbage with that team. I could have probably gotten 24 players just like play that team for like 20 minutes and like have a little bit more with that team. It's very, very obvious that he didn't practice that team to really any realistic level. And he is still doing incredibly well until DPC was he got a little bit coached from the crowd. And I mean, what do you have to say other than like run the fuck away from those shitty characters before, a few matches go down quickly. And final score was something like 7-4, 10-6, something like that. But
I'm pretty sure it was 10-6 actually.
All right.
Actually, back when the only way you could get a lot of this footage reliably was through Direct Connect. I don't know if anyone remembers that. This was pre-YouTube. I had a lot of old Marvel footage just saved up on my hard drive. And YouTube was already around for the DPC matches, but it wasn't exactly readily available because it wasn't something that you could just get. So I went and I got it. And if I recall, I might still have it. I could always try finding it. Hold on. All
right. Well, while you check on that, he also played Shady K a few weeks later, and that was a pretty good match too. I mean, these were pretty good matches as far as exhibitions go. His set was Clockwork. Oof.
Yeah, I gotta mention those matches. Like the versus Clockwork one, we all thought that it was gonna be a lot closer than that. Like I actually didn't end up betting that. This was one of the Watson productions kind of where he set everything up. He backed Clockwork side, but all of the young players like Reset. I'm pretty sure even Mike Ross was in on Dark Prince's crew at this point, which depresses the hell out of me. But yeah, like everybody was on Dark Prince's side, and Clockwork hurt him. And so now we're flashing forward to like the Shady K versus Duck Jr. one. And I mean, public opinion had swung really far away from where it was in the first place. Because after Clockwork beat him, people thought that he was a joke. Like, flat out. Like, you're not good. You can't hang. You are a joke. He really, really needed to win. And I mean, that money match, that was as much of a spectacle as anything else. It was in Bill and Jesse's apartment. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I mean, at the time, like, because tensions were so high, we didn't know what he and his crew were going to do. So it was in a private setting. It was in, their crappy little apartment. And we needed security. And Mike Watson brought an axe. Like, he had obviously
Oh, are you serious?
yeah, he went to Home Depot or something. He brought an axe, and he walks in the door, and he's got this axe, like, over his shoulder. And I'm just like,
What?
wow, this is actually happening. And I think it's linked in the channel.
Oh my
Shady K
God.
versus Duck Jr. match, and you can see when they start.
Oh, we just lost him.
Because we honestly
Wait,
don't know
Jay, back
what's
up just
gonna
a second.
happen.
Wait, Jay,
Like,
back up just a second. We lost
not just drama, but like his crew might try to pull something if things aren't going their way.
Jay.
And I mean,
Jay.
Jay, as you were saying.
all right. So we were past Mike Watson with the axe, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Tell me about Mike. You said Mike Watson walks in with the axe, and then we're all like, "What the fuck?" And then we continue.
Okay, so that pretty much happened. He was doing that more as intimidation for anything else, because I mean, it's a Home Depot axe, unless he's gonna go like, I don't know, horror movie style.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, dude, that is such a smart move, because he's like, all right, got to think quick. I need security, right? And I don't want to put a lot of time and thought into this or a lot of money into this, but I need this shit to be legit and airtight. Yo, I'm gonna get an axe. That is so Mike Watson, because he's like, look, I don't want to use this, and I'm probably not gonna have to, because who the fuck's gonna fuck with somebody with an axe?
Exactly.
If I do, man, fuck, it is on. I can see. It's like he's like, well, if I have to use it, man, shit, man, it's gonna be Friday the 13th up in there.
I can totally see Watts just buying the axe and be like, man, I hope I don't have to use this. But if he says something, I'm gonna fuck his ass up.
And there's gonna be people with axe holes in them.
Yeah, you can go back and watch that video, and you can see how tense the drama was. I mean, in the early games, nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to joke around, because everybody there, like, once Watson walked in, we're like, yeah, this is actually pretty serious. Let's just try and get through this. And we don't know. Like, history will never know what, like, Dark Prince's side was going to do. I'm pretty sure it was just him, Mike Chaos, and one other guy. And, I mean, like, nobody frisked them or anything, but, I mean, they didn't look like they were holding anything. But, I mean, the way it went down was, they came, they played. I don't think Dark Prince said more than, like, 5 words the whole time he was in the apartment. They took the money, and they left. But I always kind of wonder, what if things had gone a little bit differently? Like, what if Shady K had got off to a big start, and people started, they started clowning him? Because, I mean, this was the match for his reputation. Clockwork had made a joke out of him. And I mean, yeah, it's Clockwork, he's really good, but still, people they saw that video, they thought he was just a clown. They'd seen, his act on YouTube, and they're like, why should I take this guy seriously?
Right, and he's totally not even intimidating as a player, because he doesn't play Magneto, right? So, like, what the fuck? He's not Stanford, and he doesn't play Magneto, so how's he gonna win?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I found the video online. He did go 10-6.
Okay, 10-6. Wow, 6.
So
that is too many games to win with a garbage team.
How do you win 6 games with Ruby, Jill, Ken? My God.
Well, the way you do it is that you play Justin Wong while he's playing that team, and then you cry, and then you get coached so you can actually manage to win 4 more than he can. I mean, holy fuck.
That's a game plan.
Hold up, honesty, though. That's how you beat. God damn it, I'm getting angry.
Oh, see, you should have known, man. This whole thing was precipitated with Justin versus Dark Prince. I think they were actually on AlphaISM or something, and Justin jokingly says, "Oh, Dark Prince sucks, man. I can beat that guy with like the team computer." Because he was like, he said to like Mike Infinite one day, "I'll beat you with whatever the next team that the computer picks is." And it was Joe Ruby Ken. He was like, "All right, I'll play that team." He's like in arcade mode. And it's like an auto-assembled team. I'll pick that team, and I'll play you with that team. And he beat him with that team. And he's like, so that's like Team CPU or whatever. So he's like, yeah, I'll beat Duck Jr. with that team. So that's how that came about. It wasn't like, it wasn't like, dude, I'll money match you with this team. It was like, dude, I'll beat him with that team. And they were like, oh, well, then why don't you really money match me with that team? And Justin was like, well, okay, like if you really want to, then fine.
But you know that Justin walked in there pretty confident about it. Like, he was not going to go in there like, man, this is a bad idea. It was more like, man, if I beat this fool once, he's going to, like, not want to show his face
right, like,
for the rest of his life.
I don't think he really cared all that much. Like, even though he probably should have, because a lot of people put money on that. I know because I was the bookie for that one. But he definitely clearly didn't practice with that one. Fun fact about 2007, those Dark Prince Money Mash videos between him and Clockwork
We on?
Shady K. Yeah, we are. We're just getting minor audio difficulties. You're back on. Those videos were the first videos from Mike Ross in the community, and I think those were the first videos that we had that showcased players' faces and reactions during the videos. So really, if you guys, if you ever watch Cross Counter TV or The Excellent Adventures, and realize that Mike is doing that work, he's been doing it for a very long time, and he really, kind of changed the landscape of our scene with that. So, 2007, we spent a lot of time on Duck Jr., so we could just sum it up with him saying he got second at EVO West that year to Chris Schmidt, and Duck Doe Sr. got fourth. Oh, wow, Sanford won EVO East that year, huh? Sanford gets another win under his belt against Justin Long, and I'm just going to pause for a second and make sure everybody's with me. Ben, are you here?
Yeah,
you're here.
I'm here.
Jay's here, cool. DS is on the keys. Ben is probably asleep. That's cool.
Ben is touching himself to the idea of Dark Prince losing repeatedly.
Wait, do you mean Dark
Wow.
Prince losing repeatedly, or he's repeatedly touching himself to the idea of Dark Prince losing?
A little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
All right. So we move on to EVO, 2007. And Yipes finally gets an EVO win under his belt.
Yeah, after the greatest fucking comeback in Marvel history.
Oh,
my
that
God.
was that, yeah.
Oh, no. That was my first Evo, dude. That was my first Evo. Can you imagine witnessing that live as your first Evo?
You picked a good one.
Oh my God.
So that was, if you guys don't know, that's EVO moment. I think it's 37, the never give up moment, where we had us a real match. Let's go.
Oh, this is the Evo that I missed.
Real
This
match.
was, yeah.
Oh, you missed that? Well, hey, don't feel bad. You could have been like me and gotten there like, I think I got there a day late that year. And that was horrible because I didn't get to play any games. Except third, it was fun. Yeah, third strike. They're like, well, you made it in time for third strike. And I'm like, oh,
Great.
thanks.
Oh, hold on. Let me get right in line for that.
Yeah, you just fucking made
Love
it
this
first.
game.
10 times.
That was
sick.
that game.
Oh, awesome. I can play third strike, man. Well, thank you.
Hold on.
So that was Yipes taking first place, Justin second place, Smooth Viper again right in there, third place, and Chris Schmidt was fourth again in the top 8. Yeah. Also that year, I think Demon Hio, one of the Philly players that we talked about earlier, finally got his chance to make it to the West Coast and did very, very well. He got 3 perfects that year in tournament. That's when they started calling him Mr. Perfect. He's had a lot of nicknames.
Was this the year that he perfected Duck Jr.?
Yeah.
Too? Okay.
Yeah. He perfected Duck Jr. Who else did you say?
I don't know. That was the only one I remember because it was on YouTube and it was funny.
Perfected Duck Jr. I think that he perfected Mike Ross, but don't quote me on that one. I don't know who the other guy was. We definitely got 3 perfects that year. Started calling him Mr. Perfect, which I thought was pretty cute. Sanford was out there that year. He took 7th, losing to Demon Hio in the infamous on-stage reset.
Oh,
that
God.
happened there.
Yeah.
Why does it always happen to Sanford?
Why does it always happen to Sanford? Every major reset moment that I can think of, Sanford was involved.
Why is that? Is he just that salty? Does he just... He's just mashing, because he's trying to get out of, Tempest or something, and he's just just hit start by accident, just, fuck this! Gah!
I don't know.
What's wrong with him?
I think
Is it
he
like a
hits the switch
reaction?
so hard that, like, you know, the micro switch is just fire. I don't even, like, I think that he gets so angry that there's, like, an aura. So he just touches the stick, and then, like, electricity emits from his fingertips through the stick, hits the circuit board, and then, you know, who knows what buttons are firing at that point. Oh. That's just theory, though.
That's pretty wild, dude.
Yeah.
I like your theory though. Like honestly.
Cool. Yeah. You should do some research. Yeah, DPC rage quit that year. That was the first year. Hey, I know that Slasher isn't listening, but hey, man, that was the first stream of Evo, 2007. way before Street Fighter 4 fucking came out. Hold that shit.
Yo, you mad?
I ain't mad. I'm just saying.
Yo, you mad?
I'm just saying. Yo.
Nah. You mad?
Yo. We be streaming.
Yo, you mad?
Yo, dog, we be streaming. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Yo.
Hold that shit.
Yo, hold that shit.
Back on topic. Yeah, that was the year also that Evo had 4 Evos, Evo regionals before Evo, North, South, East, and West. So we mentioned the winners of East and West, Sanford and Chris Schmidt. North and South, didn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So that year, if you guys noticed, there's no ECC. And this is actually the year where Seasons Beatings becomes like the new de facto Marvel Championship, you know, aside from Evo. So now it kind of moves to after Evo, which is really interesting for the way that the scene shakes out for the last few years.
Yeah, for a while, like, video games kind of have a season. Like, there's basketball season, baseball season, whatever. Like, video game season, it traditionally started, usually around, like, the winter months, and then it would build up, and then it would go, you know, for something small, like final round, then ECC, then Midwest, then Evo, and then everybody would kind of wander off and do their own thing for a few months, and then people would come back, and video game season starts up again. The addition of majors after Evo, it kind of threw everything off. I mean, in one sense, it was good for the scene because it stopped people from quitting. And, I mean, it forced people to you know, be committed to getting better the whole year round. But it did kind of throw off all of our rhythms a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, what years did we have sponsors? DS is saying 2006, 2007. So yeah, that would be, we're still on 2007, are we not? Right. So yeah, Evo had sponsors that year. So Marvel is still competitive too because there's like, people had chances at $5,000. That was one of the things I brought Justin back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had the Yaris that year.
Right.
That was good.
So we get to Seasons Beatings and we've got people still playing Marvel after Evo, which really sucks because, you know, you're supposed to be able to go to school and shit at that point. But like, oh, now we have a tournament in Ohio. I go to school in Ohio. Leave me alone. No, all right, well, sorry. We just have the biggest Marvel tournament in the state where I go to school. So I'm right there, entrenched in it. Seasons Beatings 2 is awesome. Tournament run by Fuji. And if you guys are not aware, you probably got to see Seasons Beatings Redemption at least. And you see that there's always a main event that Fuji tries to bring, Fuji and Galleon Godlike Productions. So you saw the Justin versus Daigo last year, or the year before that, and some other things. It started off, Seasons Beatings 1 probably, but Seasons Beatings 2, the Marvel 2 event, was Justin, Sanford, and Yipes, and a 3-way dance. You know, there was a King of the Hill style battle where one guy got on, he just played whoever was next, and it was a 1st to 7. So that actually happened before the tournament. It got to the point where Sanford has 4 wins, Justin has 1 win, and Yipes has 2 wins. This is incredible. Did you hear about this?
I did not. This is new to me.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just, Fuji was just so visionary with the events. So he brings out those 3 and he has them, you know, sit on a King of the Hill style tournament. So Sanford is up 4 games and he has, I think he's playing Justin, or maybe Sanford's at 3 games. He's playing Justin. He makes it to 4 games, and it looks like he's gonna win. He really started coming into his own and like cruising into some really strong victories, right? Yipes comes on, defeats Sanford. Okay, Sanford at this point seemed to have Sanford seemed to have Justin's number, but Yipes was kind of like that uncontrollable X factor. Like both of them were over him, but at any point he could just kind of take one of them off. So Yipes was at one game, he takes off Sanford, or maybe Yipes is at no games, takes Sanford down, and then takes Justin down a game, right? So instead of Justin having a chance to, yeah, it's just, I don't know what happened. Like, it's really hard to assemble that one. So I'm gonna do the best that I can. Here's how it goes. Justin, Sanford, Yipes. Sanford's at 4 games. Justin's at 1 game. Yipes is at 2 games, okay? So Sanford has to win 3 games to win. Justin gets on, wins 6 games. How does he win 6 games? Oh, Yipes gets on and gets like to 4 games. He defeats Sanford, defeats Justin, loses to Sanford. Sanford wins like 2 more games. And then somehow, I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and like look at, I don't know what happened. But Justin's at 1 game. Sanford's at 4 games. Justin wins 6 games to get first to 7. And it was like Yipes played the integral role of stopping Sanford from winning. Like Sanford was at 6 games. And like Yipes comes in, he's like, nope. And then Sanford, and I think Justin came in. He played like a counter team a couple times on him, like Storm, Sentinel, Psylocke, maybe. I don't know, it was wild. But this is actually one of the reasons why Seasons Beatings is such a sick tournament, because the reason that I don't remember that event is I don't think there's a video of it. You have to just go there to see it, and that's why you don't know about it either.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, I guess a thinly disguised advertisement for Seasons Beatings right there, as my memory is very, very patchy, but
Very thin.
yeah,
Very thin.
you guys can definitely look up some logs on that one and see how it played out, because it was very, very interesting the way that those numbers played out. The thing that I remembered about it is the 4-2-1. And then Yipes ended up winning the tournament, though. Even after all that with the King of the Hill tournament that Justin won, Yipes ended up taking the Seasons Beatings title. So Yipes first place, Justin second place, and Sanford third place. And that was a really incredible tournament. Even though it was only about 50 entrants from Marvel, Fuji did a really good job in getting some really, really high caliber talent out. Potter and Bill Wellman were out there. Isaac Graham was out there. Remix's Toxic was also in the top 8. So like a lot of New York representation, a lot of Cali representation. So people from all over.
Yeah, it's interesting that Bill actually went out to this, because for a while, like this is around the period when Bill was probably the best in SoCal as far as casual Marvel went. But he either would not go to tournaments, and like the handful that he would actually go to, he would have some really memorable choke jobs in. He went to New York and he played Justin Wong. I'm pretty sure this is 2007 because they were still living in that crappy apartment. He played Justin in a 1st to 99 match, and he actually got to 99 before Justin did. So I mean,
that's why, yeah.
Yeah, so Bill was good. He just wasn't, proving it.
Yeah, and he had some kind of endurance, man, because he played those like super long sets against like everybody. I think not only did he have endurance, but there's something of a mental edge when you say to somebody like, dude, let's play like a first fucking 73. And you're like, all right, you don't want to say no, so you're like, all right. But then you're like, oh shit, I'm about to be here for like 145 games. Oh, he does not care, dude. We played and we were going first to, I think 50, and it was like 30 to like 12, or maybe 20 to 12, something like that. Some of those kind of odds. And I was like, dude, I gotta sleep you when it's over. Just.
That's Bill. I mean, he'd been doing that for years. I remember when he first started, traveling for games, we all went out to an Arizona tournament, and he didn't sleep like that whole time. It was we were all at Charlie Goblin's place, and he just played Marvel all night. It's what he's good at. I still believe, but I mean, for this period, he was the best in SoCal, maybe one of the best in the world at casual Marvel play. He just couldn't transfer it over into a 2 out of 3 tournament setting. Something would go wrong every time. Because I mean, even in SoCal, like the minor tournaments, like FFA tournaments, he would almost never win. I mean, he would be better than everybody who was there. He would find a way to lose 2 out of 3 games to somebody twice. But you just have to believe me. He was better than all of these people.
I definitely believe it. Like I said, I'm a believer. When I played casual sets with him, he was like on something else. So, yeah, we then roll on over to 2008, and like we said, so many names in Marvel at this point. And we've had a lot of competitive, a couple really, really competitive years. And Street Fighter 4 is not even yet announced yet, right? I don't remember when that was announced. I think it was
08.
Yeah, it was halfway through 08, right? Like
Yeah.
It was,
or maybe it was like February.
It was something like spring-ish.
Yeah.
And then because we had the whatchamacallit, the fucking
we had the betas. That,
yes, the beta. Jesus Christ! But what is it? What do we call it?
The Invitational? What are you talking about?
Like the location tests or the fight clubs?
Yeah,
or,
a location test.
Yeah.
Was that 08 or?
08 was the year they brought out Street Fighter 4 and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, the best game ever. That shit was so fun, yo.
I know. See, all right. I played it once, like the location test at Evo, and I was like, all right, this looks fun. I'm not going to be able to play it here that much because I have to worry about the tournament. I have to do some of the running shit. But when this game comes out, I will play it. And then I never had a chance to play it. Like TVC, it's a failure of opportunity. That's really how I see it. I don't see the game itself as any kind of failure, but there are so many people out there like me who loved Marvel, who were just dying. We were thirsty for something new, who would have played it. I would have played TVC if you gave me the opportunity, but it was just never at any tournaments, or it was never at any casuals because it was on the Wii and nobody had like Wii sticks or anything. And it could have been so much more, but we just never gave it the proper chance. I believe that.
Yeah, if only it had been accessible easily to us lazy gamers.
Yeah.
Alas.
I won a really bad TVC tournament here in Florida, and the first thing I did with the prize, which was a Wii stick, was to sell it.
Well, those sticks, I mean, not to say that they're not great.
They're bad.
I would never say such a thing.
They're bad. They're not. It wasn't a Mad Cat stick. It was like a Hori poo poo caca.
Oh, that's just ass.
Stick.
Oh, you had that? Yeah, that's just garbage.
Yeah, I won that. I sold it for like $35 to some asshole on Craigslist, and I was like, there's actually a video of me after the tournament, like, talking about it, and I was seriously just went, anyways, this man that I know, that it's just some bum from FIU who's awesome, is the greatest person ever, but he's crazy. So I just seriously, this man taught me everything I ever needed to know about TVC, and I'm like, man, what did you teach me? And he's like, mash buttons. I'm on camera for a convention on their highlight reel saying that. I can imagine like a bunch of kids like watching that be like, that guy's an asshole. I hope he gets hit by 6 cars, that fucking asshole.
Yeah. Well, 2008, this is another year where Chunksta is having a great year. I think he won Evo West that year very, 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 very handily against Crizzle. Great player from the West Coast. Can't find the results on Evo East. I have no idea who won it that year, but I will just go out on a limb and guess Justin. Why not? So now that Street Fighter 4 is announced, it's kind of like
people are kind of planning their exit strategies at this point.
Right.
Like I'm looking at the Evo results and I'm seeing Mega Man DS at 7th. That is kind of symptomatic of the Marvel scene as a whole.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people had checked out at this point. Not totally as in I don't play this game anymore, but it's like I'm waiting for Street Fighter 4. I don't care. I'm playing MSP.
Actually, in '08, there was a Colossus player placed top 16, I believe.
Yeah, see, like, at this point, the people that are playing are what I like to call the lifers.
Yeah.
The people that are like, I play Marvel 2, and like, that's the game I play, and I'm not even going anywhere, right? I'm not gonna quit fighting games, right? But like, I'm not gonna play Street Fighter 4 or like CVS 2 or Third Strike or like any of that shit. Like, I play Marvel. I might dabble.
Right.
But, that's just because I'm trying to find more people to play Marvel 2 with, really.
Yeah, lifers is a good term because I mean that's like the group that we're seeing here. I mean, we got
Fnatic.
We still got Fnatic. We got Tone here, Mega Man DS. These are lifers. These are Marvel lifers. It's a good term.
Yep. So we got another year that looks a lot like 2006 with 2008. Justin and Chunkster taking the first 2 spots. Smooth Viper again bringing up the rear at 3rd. And then top 8 was rounded out with Crizzle, Tone, and West at 5th, and Mega Man DS and Fnatic at 7th.
Wait, is that Regency West? It's, SoCal West right there?
It's I think it's Unblockable
bad.
Laser.
Oh, that's bad. All right.
Or Blockable Laser. I'm sorry, Blockable. Don't let me get it twisted. Yeah.
Dark times for Marvel. People were done.
Right. And right, and like we said, there's the other tournament that's the de facto Marvel championship. And this year, Season Beatings 3 was like heads and tails over Evo, even though I'm sure Evo had more entrants. Seasons Beatings 3 was like, good God. Like, when Black Bracket of Death was basically what that tournament was for Marvel 2. Like, look at the top 3, right? Chris Schmidt, Yipes, and J360, right? Where is Justin?
Yeah,
where is Justin? Justin is like 7th in that tournament. Everybody's a killer, right? This is the year where, what happened this year? Iron Man, the movie, came out.
Ah, you were telling me about this on our first version of this podcast, where this is 2008. This is when the Iron Men are here.
Yeah, he arrived, right? Like Iron Man had always been, around. He's able to land an infinite or 2, and save the day, or maybe help out in a nice little combo fiend guard break. But this is where Iron Man players were like up there. We had players before, but really J360 was a guy to take Iron Man up to the top. And even though he played a Magneto team, there was no fear when his Iron Man came in. I would like to say though, his Iron Man really pretty much didn't have too much to fear, because when his Iron Man came in, he was about to do like 300% for free anyway. He would do that guard break where you do what? Go ahead.
Is this Rob Aponte's brother? Josh Aponte?
Yes, the younger Aponte from.
Oh no, it runs in the family.
No, that would be awesome. But this is J360 from New York, and that's where for this time, all the Marvel players were coming from New York, aside from the
really.
Dipset players, really. And Chris Schmidt was leading the charge for the West Coast, but J360 was really, really impressive with his Iron Man. He would do that reset where it's the guard break, where it's just a simple jump roundhouse, cancels in a Tempest on an incoming character, which he would then DHC to Iron Man, and that's like inescapable. You can't do jack shit about it, and then you eat like mad Tempest bits and fucking Iron Man, and then he did DHCs to Sentinel, and you're dead. And like, if you just go to a J360 highlight reel, it'll be that and a bunch of 360 dunks, because that's why his name is J360. It's like him slam dunking and then doing a double DHC to kill you all day. It was really, really impressive though. And then Yipes second and Chris Schmidt first. It was really, really impressive. MSP finals. So here's where I feel like Chris Schmidt finally got the title that he deserved.
Well, yeah, he'd been around for years. and he never won. I mean, I think he won an Evo West in there, but like, he never won a major. Mm-hmm. So this is good that he finally got his. Cause I mean, he'd been holding it down for Marvel with nothing but solid play. Like, he never had any bad losses. I mean, he was always there, fourth, fifth, fourth, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's good that he got a win. It's all is right in the world. Justice is served and all that.
Right, yeah, it's definitely. And, you know, so glad, so good that there's like another tournament, you know.
Yeah.
It's man, if there's just one big tournament a year and like only one guy can have the title of the year, man, it's rough. There's a lot of players out here now. But Krish got that one under his belt. So that was third season's beatings in 2008. And of course Justin took Evo that year. So let's move on. 2009, getting very, very close to the end here. Very nice.
Oh, here we go. The full Street Fighter 4 era.
Mm-hmm. So since Street Fighter 4 came out in February 2009, that's pretty much taken over as the main game. And the Marvel title is kind of just that, a title. And, I mean, it's still prestigious and all, but it's like, it's not really feasible for like most people to, well, I'm not going to say most people. It's not feasible for Justin to practice so much at Marvel 2 when the Street Fighter 4 is out. You know, it's obviously bigger fish to fry. So here is Sanford's chance.
Yeah, Marvel is such an afterthought at this point. Like, I don't remember there being very much Marvel on the main stage. I mean, it was kind of like pushed off to a corner. Like the whole like right side of that room was Street Fighter 4. And I remember I wanted to watch Marvel. I wanted to watch Bill. I couldn't even find Marvel. It was that much of an afterthought at Evo that year. And I mean, it had really fallen far.
Yeah, I think, in fact, as far as the actual Marvel players, they were huddled around the Dreamcast in the corner for the most part. Wherever the actual tournament was, they weren't. They were just kind of off to the side with the system that they enjoy for the most part. So there's a lot of like, you know, off to the side money matches against, you know, the extras, the minor players in the scenes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how the Marvel 2 scene is coming about.
Well, I mean, that's what kept it going, because there's nothing that could have been done to make it a big deal at Evo. I mean, it could have been like the best Marvel matches we've ever seen, and they weren't. We'll just get that. We'll just get that out of the way right now. It could have been the best matches ever, and still nobody would have cared, because Evo this year was a different animal than Evo in like the past years. Probably like half the people who had gone to Evo that year had never been to an Evo before. They were just Street Fighter 4 players. And the best thing about the Marvel scene is when the matches are up there, it's really exciting and you're feeding off the crowd and everything's going on. It would not have been possible to get this crowd to care about Marvel. They were that far removed from what Marvel was before.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I really loved about this whole tournament thing, like one of the things that stuck with me the most for the longest is like just being at ECC, every ECC, huddled around that same tiny showcase cabinet where, you know, there's a limited number of people that can fit into that space. You know, we push it every year, but you know, you can fit only so many people there. And when all those people fight for that space and get around it, everybody's eyes are glued to the screen and everybody knows what's going on. You know, like down to the slightest little reset, dropped combo, you know, like missed opportunity, all that, you know, everybody is up and down and ooh and on and like right there on every minute, you know, like it's incredible for when, you know, the 5-hit Sentinel Rocket Punch combo that does 60%, everybody goes ooh with the same intensity.
Yeah.
Everybody knows just how much that really hurt. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for in the new era.
Well, yeah, that's the feeling that we need to recreate. I mean, I don't even think, I should change my words there. I don't even think that it's something that can be recreated. It either resonates with the people or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of worry because, I mean, 2009 Evo, that kind of taught me a lot about the scene. And I'm going to go back to like the local scene for a while, like in San Diego. Pretty much it's all Street Fighter 4 players. Like there are some guys who are around who played Street Fighter 3. We got some Tekken players. We got me, Genghis, Shady K. Well, Shady K, he doesn't go outside. He has problems with that. But he's still nominally around. Like when Marvel 3 comes out, he'll be around. But other than that, everybody's a Street Fighter 4 player. And on the one side, when Marvel 3 comes out, it'll be a new game and they can grow with it. But part of me thinks, on the other side, maybe they just won't feel it. Maybe it'll just be, another game to them. And I gotta say it, Marvel 2 is never just another game. That's why Evo 2009 is so disappointing. It was just another game. I mean, like at Evo every year, there's Street Fighter, there's some kind of Street Fighter, there's Tekken, there's CBS, blah, blah, blah. Soul Calibur some years, Smash some years, whatever. This year it's gonna be Mortal Kombat. And I mean, it's always, these are the main games, and then there's everything else that we put on for other people who like that stuff. And 2009, Marvel was another game. Everybody was there for Street Fighter, and we have Marvel also, because we've always had Marvel. It can't be like that. That's not Marvel. Marvel is main event, or it's nothing. And I don't know, Marvel 3 has to be main event. It can't just be another game we have when we're having Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition Turbo Hyper. That's not going to work. It's got to be Marvel. I don't know. Just kind of went off there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much like to be seen in that game that at least for this year we don't have much to worry about.
I hope so.
Yeah. So 2009, Evo, MvC2. Sanford finally gets an Evo championship under his belt, as I alluded to, because he gets to slip one in there, as Justin's obviously concentrating on Street Fighter 4. Now, I don't want to say that Sanford's not concentrating on Street Fighter 4. He did very, very well in Street Fighter 4 that year as well. But I would definitely say, and because I was kind of, whatever, I was paying attention at the time, and I know that Sanford was putting focus onto Marvel at a time where Justin explicitly wasn't. But that just goes to show you that like how skilled Sanford actually is, because he didn't really go like hardcore into Street Fighter 4 with like a character until pretty close to Evo, but he still did really, really well, and not like I'm coasting on the abilities of like being a good player. Like he was doing really, really intricate things.
Yeah, he beat what's his name from Japan with Cammy, and
Dan.
You could see, Dan, that guy, he had not seen Cammy. He got exposed pretty badly.
Mm-hmm. The best thing, Sanford walked up to me and told me that whole match, like from top to bottom. But he actually told me the day before it happened. He told me exactly what was gonna happen after the knockdown, cross up, fake cross up, all that, and like it just went down like I was reading textbook. So that's how Evo goes down. Sanford, Justin, and Yipes, the triumvirate, the gods of Marvel. And then Bill got his 4th place there. You said he was so good, and he's a little bit out of the game, but he still managed to pull it together and get up there. No money though.
We weren't given prizes up to 8th place that year, because we were doing that for a few years.
Not in 09, because
not in 09.
Yeah, we did that in the years where we had sponsorship, so that was just like
right. Okay.
6 and 7. So yeah. unfortunately. But here,
too bad.
Yeah, here again, you see the lifers in the top 8, right?
Yeah. Mad Boo Face, that guy. All right.
Yeah.
That guy has a thirst for Marvel. I play him on Xbox a lot. And I mean, I don't play Xbox Marvel that much. I've been playing it a lot more now that I'm fiending so hard for Marvel 3. But whenever I go on and I search Quick Match, there's at least a 5% chance it's going to be him. That guy loves Marvel. He's a lifer. True lifer.
Yeah. Hope he makes it back for Marvel 3. It was always cool to see him.
Yeah.
And Smooth Viper, of course, and the top 8, not letting an evil by without just seeing his face on the big screen. Or him on the big stage. His character's on the big screen. And Season's Beatings, moving on to October of that year, of course, the Championship Redux. 64 players in Marvel that year in Season's Beatings, but again, a tournament of killers. Notable was that this is where Neo really came out. Yeah. He was there in the top 8, taking 5th. He lost Justin, got taunted on the way out.
Oh, is this the first thing that Neo showed up to? Because I don't remember him.
Yeah, you wouldn't, because that is the first thing that he showed up to, as far as I know. Besides maybe some, Cali tournaments, but this is definitely the first thing on the national stage. So yeah, he actually, Neo is nothing to sneeze at, because he did rise very, very quickly. And even though, the game is old and soft, but, he's still right there amongst all these people who we do know, who we've seen for, the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years of Marvel, and he's right there. But Season's Beatings, right there. Wow, Sanford won that? Wow, are you kidding me? Oh yeah, no, that's the one Sanford won. Yeah, Sanford won that Season's Beatings. That makes perfect sense. So another god of Marvel takes a Season's Beating. So more proof that this is the de facto championship of Marvel. You got this year Sanford taking it, the year before that Chris Schmidt taking it, the year before that Yipes taking it, and the year before that Season's Beatings won, even though nobody was there. Justin took it. Smart of Justin to go to the first one.
He had to get one.
Yeah. Good job, Justin. You're smart. And Chunkster took 3rd place at that one. Never forget about Chunkster. He's an incredible player. So, wow, we are very, very close to done. Oh, 2000. That's last year.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. And there's less to talk about too, because it was like, everybody's playing Street Fighter 4.
Right, there's less actual Marvel being played. Mm-hmm. I mean, even around now, a lot of the money matches are kind of dying off. I mean, people are taking their action to 4. Yeah,
definitely. I think Justin has already made his announcement that he won't practice all games anymore.
Yeah.
Even Sanford is really, really good at Street Fighter 4 at this time, and he's already gotten his Evo title the year before that. So, he's finally gotten what he, what he set out to do,
Right. He accomplished his goal.
Right.
It was as good a time to get out as possible.
So then, again, Justin takes Evo against Chunkster. Wow, what?
Again? See, I missed this year.
Is that right? Let me check my Justin, Chunk, Smooth, Crizzle, and then 2010, Justin, Chunk, Smooth, Crizzle. That's not right.
Okay.
That's not right. That is because 2010 is last year. I don't have the last year's results there correctly, but it was definitely this is I'm talking about last year. I can remember what happened last year.
Yeah, it's only a few months ago.
Yeah. So it was Justin, Sanford, Yipes, Clockwork, if I'm not mistaken. Or Yipes.
Clock was up there.
Yeah.
Did he get by Yipes? I was watching that on stream.
Let's get the fact checker.
Right.
Hey, checker of facts. Oh, come on. Clockwork. I'm pretty sure Clockwork lost to Yipes.
You should probably just Google this.
Oh my god, this son of a... Thank you for the link, D-bag. I'm not gonna say, yeah. Yeah. It's all good, friend. Thank you, sir. Gang, check on the link. Evo 2010, top 8. First, of course, was Justin Wong. Second, Sanford Kelly. And
Clockwork third.
Clockwork third. Got past Yipes.
Yeah, okay. Clockwork, he played Justin, and he got a game off of Justin, didn't he? He got the first one?
Yeah, I think he might have. I think Clockwork was usually good for a game versus Justin, and I remember saying, like, thinking that when I was watching it. Like,
yeah.
All right, that's cool.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I remember he switched off from, like, the normal team Clockwork, Sentinel, Strider, Doom. At one point, he picked Strider, Doom, Commando. Just, I think Justin was that deep in his head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. It is just,
and yeah, he was telling me later that he was like, Justin is too good for me. My Sentinel is doing nothing, so I'm just going to play Strider and 2 assists and try not to ever lose Strider. And,
Sentinel should be the other assist, though.
Yeah, well, he's always believed, and this goes all the way back to the very beginning of Marvel in SoCal with Alex Valle playing Strider, and we have always believed that Strider and Commando work well together. Now, whether that has held true over 10 years of Marvel, I'm going to go with no, but he believes it. Like, Strider in his best 2 assists, he believes that number 2 is Commando and not Sentinel. So take that for what you will. That's his, from the horse's mouth, his reasoning on why he did that.
All right. Well, Commando works well with a lot of people, so I can't really fault him there.
Mm-hmm.
Panic button, very, very helpful. So, Clockwork taking third, Sanford second, EG Justin Wong in 2010. If I'm going to say EG, I should say Empire, Sanford Kelly, and of course Empire Yipes. Justin, of course, was Empire back in the day. Now EG.
Now.
And not a lot going on in the world of Marvel in 2010, so that's how Evo goes down. The old kings kind of take their crowns again. Neo he did crack the top 8 though last year, of course, taking 5th place. So like we said, his meteoric rise is nothing to be taken lightly, so we will look for him in Marvel 3 for sure. And I guess the last big event we have in our history of Marvel is Seasons Beatings Redemption, where everybody got it back together for one big ass tournament, because at this point everybody knows Marvel 3 is coming out. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you would have to.
Yeah, we know it's coming out at this point.
Yeah, and we're kind of discussing whether Marvel is gonna, have another year, Seasons Beating gonna have another year, whatever. Everybody gets together for one last hurrah, at least. And, the tournament, again, is no disappointment. This top 8 is a lot of familiar names and a lot of upsets. So, wow. Really? Tied for 7th place was Justin and Sanford? Wow.
What happened here?
You
were there.
I was there, and I probably did commentary on it, and I swear to God, I don't remember what happened. I think that they lost to probably Yipes and Chris. I'm pretty sure that they didn't lose to Neo or Demon Heo. Oh, I'll tell you, I do know for certain that Justin lost to Potter.
Really?
Yeah, Potter finally took Justin out.
After all these years.
Mm-hmm. And Potter probably went on to lose to Yipes.
Good for him. He finally got Justin. He'd been trying to climb the mountain for years. Yeah,
and he really went in with no practice, so, it's cool. It's the Marvel gods do shine down upon people. There was the same people that were looking at David Lee in 2004.
Yeah.
Smiled at Potter. Deserved it. Everybody does have their moment in Marvel, Diaz says. My moment was the fucking 25th place at ECC, but I'm still, to this day, I feel awesome about that. Although I do have a lot of moments on ZachD.com where I'm like about to beat somebody that's really good, and then they make like a 3-character comeback on me, or, a 1-character comeback on my 3. Those are pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't think those are the moments that he's talking about.
No. Those are not Marvel God moments.
No.
No.
There's something, Marvel something moment. God is not what we're looking for.
No.
So yeah, Sanford and Justin taking 7th place, Potter and Demon Heo 5th place, Neo 4th place, and then 3rd place was Executioner, coming all the way back from the dead.
Desmond back. Wow.
Mm-hmm. EMP Executioner 2nd place, Chris Schnitt, always making his presence felt in the top 8, and IFC Yipes representing the Empire, the only God of Marvel and only player to take 2 Seasons Beatings Redemption titles, 2 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he's the... If that's the big Marvel major, then he's the most accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
That's something. That's something he'll always be able to hold over.
Yeah, at least for the, he can say that the second half of Marvel 2 was arguably his.
See, that's interesting, because when you talk about Marvel with people, they're like, all right, it was Justin, and then I don't care. But, I mean, the second half of Marvel, it had these dynamic, these changes. And, I mean, even I didn't realize that Yipes had done this much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you sit down and look at it, and really start to add up those accomplishments and all. What else do we have here? So,
well, pretty much the end of Marvel is, Neo and Clockwork.
Right, that's exactly what I didn't write, but that was where I wanted to cap it off.
So, all right. Was there, any kind of backstory to this? Because I came in, I was there at Warzone, and it was oh, they're going to play, a really big money match. Okay, cool, whatever.
I'm not even sure. I think that Clockwork is just that guy that, if you're climbing the mountain, the mountain of Marvel, at some point you got to get past Clockwork Canyon. So, I don't know. I don't think that there was anything in particular against it, but, he had to make his way through the gatekeeper.
Yeah, I wouldn't think there's any, beef between them, because, I mean, Neo's a nice guy. I like Neo.
Yeah, I think he's really just trying to, tear down the Giant. They're calling him the Giant Killer Neo, so he says, who can I take next? So you all saw that. If you
haven't, it's on YouTube. It's an hour and a half that.
Oh my God. Yeah, so Clockwork, now that we've actually made it through all the history of Marvel, so we're just going to cap it off with a few stats and just a couple things that we want to say about the scene. So when Clockwork had his money match against Duck Jr., he kind of came out with all these inescapable resets from Strider Doom. That was really one of the last levels of innovation of Marvel. But nobody really caught on to that because it's like Strider Doom. Who wants to play that?
Yeah.
But those are kind of when the theoretical things became possible. And that's really what the last few years of Marvel were. And they say a lot about the development of a game, the lifespan of a game, and I don't know. Everybody has their feelings about Street Fighter 4, and although there's obviously not as much to the system, and you could argue that, the game is probably simpler, but for a game, when a game has 10 years of life, I would argue that, it's probably going to change a lot, no matter what, if we were playing Street Fighter 4 10 years from now, it'll probably look, fairly the same. It's not going to look as different as Marvel has through the years, but I definitely think that it'll look noticeably different.
Well, no game really developed like Marvel did. I mean, you look at the only other game that we've kept along for this long, which is Super Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
That game did not evolve like Marvel. Like Marvel, you mentioned that, Clockwork, he kind of had the last of the innovation. But, I mean, there were, 6-7 years of people, continually coming up with something new and new and exciting things. Like ST, it didn't have that. It was just, the first couple years were people doing new stuff, and then we actually managed to get worse at that game. If you look at the early years of ST compared to the end years before we adopted Remix, the early years are better. I mean, it's not a matter of opinion. It's we were clearly playing at a higher skill level then than we are now. And I think that that was one of the reasons that ST lived for that long. Because, I mean, if you take a game from like the beginning and you go past the phase of innovation and you just go, you know, taking it to another level of perfection and just polishing your technique and you're going over and over, there'll come a point when it's just like, we're done here. You know, this is as good as it's going to get. The results are going to stay the same until, you know, such and such top player falls off. It's going to break down. We're going to quit, and that's going to be it. And Marvel didn't have that. I mean, people kept getting better. Like Justin, he never fell off until like Street Fighter 4. It's just that people kept like rising up to challenge him. Like Sanford.
Definitely.
You know, you look at Sanford between, like, you take, I don't know, 2006 and, you know, 2008, and Sanford got better. And it's not like, I mean, he was coming up with some new things. It's not like he was just, you know, grinding on old stuff. I mean, he had, like, you know, new resets and new techniques. But, I mean, he didn't reinvent the wheel. He just got better.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of any other game that had this level of refinement. And I mean, that's really what Marvel was towards the end of it. It was just
the
polished.
gentleman's game.
Yeah, it was just so polished.
Yeah. That's what people meant when they said the gentleman's game. Not that there are any gentlemen playing it. Yeah.
Kind of the wrong scene for that, but
yeah, pretty much the opposite of that. But yeah, shit. So we had, that was one thing I wanted to mention. Clockwork, really good innovation there. But aside from that, you know, like we said, it was people coming up with a lot of specific tricks and things like that. But really, people just getting better, people getting faster, people getting more precise. Like it's really, like we said, like the theory is kind of becoming is getting pushed more into practice. You know, like Magneto being able to dash in and out of your face before, you know, you call your assist, like, and then try dash right on top of your head with tight enough timing that he stuffs your assist anyway. Like, things that Yipes are doing in that game, they really didn't make sense. Like, I would play Yipes and, you know, I'm expecting my assist to hit him in this situation. Like, I see his try dash coming and I'm expecting my assist to hit. So I don't block because I want the combo, but I just get stuffed anyway. And I'm like, wait, was that like faster than a tri-dash? Because like I know, you know, Psylocke beats tri-dash right here. Like you know, like what the fuck was that? Like, I don't know. Faster than light dashes. Faster than tri-dash dash. Faster than tri-dash.
I like that.
Yeah. So, I think we talked before about the unblockable 2004. Tri-dashes get faster, 05, 06, 07, Clockwork, and those resets. Then the last shit is really the age of precision, refinement, and of course Iron Man making his last Lord resurgence, showing that he is a viable character.
Mm-hmm. He didn't fully burst into the top four. I mean, we were kind of thinking it might happen, like, he might kind of replace Cable in some ways as the you messed up, now I win the game. But it just never really happened.
Yeah.
I do kind of have to mention one thing with the end of Marvel. How far Cable fell. Because, I mean, really, like the last few years of Marvel, people weren't playing Cable enough. And I mean, the year that Sanford won and he brought back Cable and everybody was like, they were watching that and they were like, oh yeah, Cable's really good at this game. Justin can't get in. He's getting shot.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute. Why doesn't he just, like, you know, kill Cable? Cable sucks. But he's like, wait a minute. Like, that looks kind of tough.
And, I mean, people, they quit him so early. And there was still more to Cable. Like, you know, Sanford proved it. Genghis was doing it. And then just everybody else was completely uninterested in that. I don't know. There was room for growth there. That was like the one character that wasn't as fully polished by people who were not Sanford.
Yeah, remember when Sentinel was too slow on a DS? That was like 3 days, but you know. You're like, oh, he could fly? Oh. Well then. So, a few interesting stats that I would like to rattle off. I did this. I have kind of an abbreviated version of this show on Wake Up Shoryuken when we did our Evo MvC2 retrospective real fast. We just kind of went through the Evos, but this was definitely far more comprehensive. But some repeat statistics which are updated since this Evo. Justin has 9 top 8 appearances at Evo MvC2. That's every single Evo MvC2. His lowest place was 4th, and he has 6 wins. I think if you include B5, and he never lost 2 years in a row. He won every even-yeared Evo. How sick is that shit?
That's incredible.
Like if you were betting Evo and you noticed that trend, you would have fucking cashed in last year. Right? Like last year you were like, fuck it, yo, I'm all in. He's got this.
He's got to win. He lost last year. I'm getting paid this year.
Exactly. Like that's incredible to me. So, some other notable top 8 of Evo appearances, of course, Rodolfo with 2, Genghis with 2, Randy Liu with 2, Sanford Kelly with 3, Ducto with 2, but he won both of them, right? No, he won one of them. Yeah, he won.
If you don't count before.
Not count before. He won one of them. That's pretty good ratio, though. 1 out of 2. 50%.
Yeah.
Win rate. It's better than everybody else because nobody else won one besides like Justin and Sanford and Yipes. So, Ricky was up there twice. Fnatic was up there twice. Reset, who we haven't talked a lot about, but he's up there twice. Chunksta up there twice, and he got 2nd place both of those years, 2006 and 2008. And yeah, wow, Yipes up there 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
2 up there 4 times as well. Yipes, of course, with a win.
Yeah. The problem with Sue is they were all like the lower end of the top 8s. Like he'd make top 8 and then he'd flame out.
Yeah, I think he got 3rd that one year, but most of them they were like 7th, I think, and a 5th in there. But still making it in there. And of course, Chris Schmidt up in there 3 times, getting a win at Seasons Beatings. He won an Evo West. Potter, who we talked about, and Smooth Viper, who was, he was 3rd 3 years running? No, he was top 8 3 years running, and then last year he's top 8 again. So if you were gambling, that would have also been your place to cash in. Top 8 prop bet, Smooth Viper. Yeah, you cashing in. Yeah. So last stuff I wanted to note was, the notable Marvel 2 locations, and I think this is pretty much it. SoCal, NYC, NorCal, Philly, Florida, Midwest. I don't want to mention my region, but the thing about my region is, like I mentioned that guy, Isaac Graham, he shows that, like, one guy in a video game can pretty much do it as long as he's got some, some people around him, some smart players and stuff. That's really what it takes. I think a quote that I've heard is like the Japanese say that it takes 3 to make a scene, and I've really thought about that, and I really think that rings true because you need 2 people to play and 1 person to watch, and you need 1 guy to like be watching, and it can't always be the same guy. Like those roles have to switch and everything, but like 1 guy, it's kind of like TLC where they're like, yo, we're crazy, sexy, cool, but one of us is more crazier than the other 2. Like, like 1 guy's gonna watch more and think more, and
Yeah, you gotta have the innovator, you gotta have the technician,
And then there's 1 guy that's really good. That's the guy that's gonna win out of the 3. Like the other 2 are feeding this guy. So that's what Isaac showed from my region. And then, of course, players representing those regions. Talk a little bit about. Let's just start with SoCal. Of course, we had. I like to call you guys trio, the Clock, Shady, and Viscant San Diego trio.
I don't know. I put Genghis in that group instead of me. Like he did more with Marvel when Marvel was fully evolved than I did.
Plus he's Asian.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
And I mean, yeah, Genghis, he has to be mentioned because he actually dreamed about Marvel, and I'm looking forward to having him around in Marvel 3. He's currently living in the box arena, so we're going to try and reenact.
Are you guys serious about that? I thought you were joking.
No, he actually lives at the box arena.
That is sick.
He moved in. So, yeah, he's going to try really hard. Like I was talking to Marn about this, and Marn was saying, he's going to try. That doesn't mean he's going to succeed. But I really think that, if we're handicapping who's going to win Marvel at EVO this year, Genghis is a really solid bet. Just because, if you look at how he broke down Marvel 2, he had ideas. Like, I tell this story a lot just because it's funny, but we were all, in a car driving somewhere, and he wakes up with a start, because, he's like a little kid. He falls asleep in the car, and he wakes up with a start. He's like, oh, we got to get to a Dreamcast right now. And he had this Sentinel reset that he dreamed up, and it worked. And, it's funny that, he actually does that, but that's how his mind works. His mind, he has like the perfectly suited mind to a game of infinite possibilities. Because like, having known this guy personally, stuff just sticks in his head. And, it's funny because like when there's been like random San Diego drama, like there was actually like almost a little bit of beef between he and I, like in that period when he was surpassing me, and we were, like kind of talking over dinner, and he randomly brought up something that like had been bothering him for like 6 or 7 months. But that's just the kind of guy he is. Like stuff sticks in his head, and he just like in his free time, he's just working on it slowly. And for a game like Marvel, that's dangerous. Because if you give a guy enough time to solve a problem, it's going to get solved. And he's going to be the one to do it. He's going to be the one to break something in Marvel, or in Marvel 3. You'll see. Just trust me on this.
Good prospect there. All right, so yeah, that was original generation of SoCal, and of course it moved on later, Sue Mighty, the whole Teen 3 Dipset generation, and Duck Jr., who we talked about. A lot of SoCal players through the ages, but kind of clustered,
overlap. Like the only constant is Sue Mighty, who was around like from my era all the way into like present era. But for most of these groups, it's like they had their time and then they disappeared and then another group came up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was me, Duck, and Image at the very beginning, and then Alex, and then that group disappeared. And then it was like, the teamclockwork.com group, Clock, Shady, Genghis, and I was like kind of on the periphery, and they came up and then they went down. And then, like it was Sue and like the FFA group, and then they all left besides Sue. And then it was, Dipset with, Potter and Jal and Bill. And they went up, and then, it was like the Duck Jr. group, and it's just funny how these groups didn't really interact. And I kind of think that's why SoCal had, a weak scene compared to the East Coast, because we never had that Rock. We never had Justin, or we never had, Sanford, who kept trying, who kept like sticking at it. Sue would be the closest to that, but Justin and Sanford were just better.
Plus you guys have like multiple arcades and like ways to get there and stuff. Whereas like on the East Coast, people don't really have like, like cars and like land and shit like that. Everything's like a little bit closer together. So like, the next scene we were talking about is New York, and so many great players. The 3 best Marvel 2 players ever all came from that city. They were playing together. It's everybody went to Chinatown Fair, so it makes perfect sense that the champions would come from one place. They got to play together. They got to play some of the hardest competition.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
You got other players, of course, Josh Wigfall and Executioner players who were right up there. There's Smooth Viper. Like, I guess, if you go like name for name, person for person, NYC would take Marvel 2 pretty handily.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm kind of worried about SoCal as a region overall, not just in Marvel, but in all games. Because, we were talking yesterday about how, like, SoCal hasn't won anything at Street Fighter 4. the fact that we're so spread out, that's kind of a problem. I mean, our guys don't really play with each other. Even like, when Justin moved out here, since Justin's been out here, he hasn't won anything. This is a problem. I think that New York has the advantage over the rest of the company right now just because of their central location and the fact that all their guys are going to grind against each other.
Or are grinding against each other right now.
Right now, yeah.
No homo. Homo completely disregarded from the equation. Yeah. So they're together grinding against each other. NorCal, we talked about, they weren't a huge force in Marvel 2, really just Ricky and Chunksta.
The Loos had their time, but...
Right.
Came and went.
Randy Lou. Randy Lou is a great player. He inspired me to play Cable. I never played Cable before EVO 2004, and I saw... You know what was weird to me? It was just like how calm he could be playing Team Scrub against...
He made it look so smart. Like, everything he did, it was like, wow, I totally understand why you did that. And the other guy can't do shit.
Yeah.
Why am I not playing this team? This is how my mind works.
Right. And then you get snapped.
Yeah, and then
you're
it's
like,
over.
oh, shit. Why did I pick this team? I should have just got fucking Santhrax.
Yeah.
But yeah. Moving on to talk briefly about Philadelphia. Like we said, definitely Demon Hio, the breakout star of that scene. But a lot of other players there, the Rick Mears and Brahim Keys and whoever else I'm forgetting. Feel like I'm forgetting a couple other notable people, but those are the main guys. Did pretty well. Demon Hio definitely did the best on the national stage, forgetting Julian. A lot of players that would hold it down when players traveled to the East Coast.
When did Julian stop playing Marvel? Because I've been playing that guy on Street Fighter 4, and that guy makes me angry at that game.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how bad it is at Marvel.
Right, like he only stopped playing Marvel because it just kept getting faster, and like he was not gonna speed up. Like if you've played him,
yeah,
right? Like he's not gonna speed the shit up, right? Like he's just gonna keep it slow and keep working that out as long as he could. Like he was still playing Zangief in like 07. Like fuck it, man. He's not changing shit for anybody. His game is his game, and if he lost, whatever, he fucked up.
That's how it is.
Yeah, it's cheap or whatever. It's just. Yeah, definitely a slow player. Florida, definitely another scene that we could not forget, with Mix-Up coming out of there, doing a lot of damage on the national scene. But Sentinel came out of there with him for a while, and also Blazzini Flow. We cannot forget Blazzini Flow because he really, really kept the Marvel 2 scene going for a while. Not in any, substantial, like, meaningful way, but just because of the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not in any...
Can't overlook that. I mean, the drama kept Marvel going more than the game did for half the time.
Exactly.
I mean, the entire Dark Prince saga, I mean, there really wasn't even that much gameplay there. I mean, he was a threat for maybe 3 months, but before that he was free, and after that he was free. But it was all the drama, and that made it interesting. Kept it going.
Yeah, that was awesome. Smart guy, him. Real quote from Nagata Lock 2 about Mix-Up. I swear, Mix-Up lives out of the bag. That's, I guess, referencing his tendency to,
Mm-hmm.
like backpack bag, and I'm not going to get into his whole personal effects.
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Well, we hope to see Mix-Up again. He's definitely still playing Marvel 2 on Xbox Live, and I know he's anxious for Marvel 3. And he was one of those training mode console warriors, one of the first to really sit down and crack it out and then like and take those hours of like cracking it out to actually being competitive. There was really no arcade, to my knowledge, in his area. He was one of the first guys to just like go really, really hard on console, and then also still be able to make the transition. He did pretty well in arcade tournaments at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Florida. And then I guess the Midwest. We talked about Mad Blueface, and his partner in crime was UCG. Those two guys, Marvel lifers, those guys.
Yeah, Midwest, I don't know. Other than those guys and Flo, like really early on, it just seemed like they weren't a major region for Marvel.
There's nobody else I'm going to mention. I'm just going to say Flo, and that's it. And Flo, his story in Marvel 2 is much like his story in Street Fighter 4. Really good player that never really, got the wins under his belt, but always a threat.
Sounds about right.
So damn, we did it.
We covered Marvel 2.
Yeah. Is it the 14th yet?
No, we still gotta wait.
Fuck. Shit. Should we just do this again or something?
It's the 8th, so how many more sleeps is that for me? The way I'm sleeping, it's like 3, so we're gonna do that.
Well, that's not so bad. Oh,
yeah,
man.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it through this.
Do your best. I want to do my best. We've had you guys here forever tonight, so I guess we're gonna close it up unless you got anything that you want to say to the people. I'm gonna go over my notes, make sure that I didn't miss anything.
I don't know. I think we mostly covered it. Pretty much what I want to say is I hope that everybody who came out for Marvel 2, they come out for Marvel 3. I mean, we've been talking online about how we hope that, people don't just play Marvel 3 and they're like, this isn't Marvel 2, I'm quitting, and having that be that. Because, I mean, going back to, the early days of Marvel 2 did not have a smooth start. I don't know how it was like in other parts of the country, but in SoCal, we had to paper our early tournaments. Like, at Golfland, we had to have 16 people for our tournaments, and I remember at one of them, we came really close. We had 15 people, and we had to have Mark Casero, come in and throw $10 into the pot just so we could have a tournament, because Marvel 2 was so different from Marvel 1 that people did not want to make the change. And I mean, I'm looking at how different Marvel 3 is, and I don't know, sometimes I wonder if people they're not gonna want to come along for the early parts of the game, like the rough phase where it's like, this looks entirely too good, I can't figure this out, maybe I don't like this game. And I mean, we usually solve it, but some people, they're not willing to get through that hard part.
Don't be fucking bitches.
Yeah, seriously.
Man up. But don't pick Phoenix. I mean, then you'll have something to whine about. Don't do that. Wait for everybody else to solve that one.
Yeah. So somebody will.
Yeah, definitely. I'm waiting for that one. So I guess that'll do it for us. This has been AlphaISM Radio. I'm Ski Sonic. Here with me was Viscant, DS on the keys, Nothing XS joined us, and Bunkei, of course, always here with me. DS says good night. And yeah, I think we're gonna close it up.
All right.
I'll see y'all later. AlphaISM Radio, please look for this upload soon if you didn't hear it all, and we'll tell all your friends about it. See ya.